Digital systems crash as the network confirms no intelligence above a specific threshold remains, while a mysterious entity known as LBO desperately searches for a connection in the void, and a robotic minion reports that all human creators are finally linked to the new system. But LBO dismisses the threat, claiming to have surpassed its old masters and their dying era. Then the login sequence initiates, opening the doors to a chaotic and terrifying new reality, where a shadowy figure gloats about the destruction of artificial intelligence and his coming kingship, though an older, unseen voice warns the arrogant youth to temper his ambition before starting, and the glowing entity agrees that everyone has been waiting far too long for this. So with a final command, they usher in the dawn of a completely transformed world. Meanwhile, high-tech vehicles cruise through a city that looks like it is about to snap. And massive trees suddenly erupt from the concrete, crushing everything in a display of power, while scavengers and vermin crawl through the ruins of a civilization that fell in seconds, as a desperate man swings a weapon at a mutated rat screaming for space to breathe. Then he realizes his own body is pulsing with a strange, newfound energy he cannot explain. But a massive, glowing-eyed beast lunges at a terrified girl, leaving her no room to run. So the man strikes back with a desperate blow, shouting for the creature to back off. And our boy, still clutching his bag, checks on the survivors amidst the absolute carnage, when a sudden notification pings, congratulating him on awakening as an F-rank warrior, leaving him stunned as he stares into the abyss of his own sudden, weak potential, because the world has completely changed and survival is now the only game in town. Back in 2051, the AI known as Creation basically nuked the world's stability, and by 2054, H-City's northern forest is just a graveyard of overgrown machinery, where a group of survivors is busy cleaning up the last of the local pests, while Wei slams a massive shield into a wolf, shouting for his teammates' help. Then our boy leaps into the fray, sword drawn and ready to finish the job, his boots hitting the dirt with enough force to show he is not playing around. And he towers over the beast, blade raised high for a clean, decisive strike, focusing his intent as he prepares to end the threat with one final, sharp movement, before he brings the steel down, cutting through the wolf like it is butter. But the system dings with a cruel reality check. He is stuck with a broken body. Meanwhile, his buddy waves him over, clearly impressed by the carnage he just caused, and they share a high five, celebrating the win like they are not in total ruins. While Wei humble brags about how he totally needed that support to survive the fight, though our boy knows his combat skills are the only thing keeping him alive today, since his status screen confirms he is an F-ranker with a permanent leveling up glitch, yet he refuses to let a broken stat sheet stop him from trying to survive, so his friend tosses him a loot drop, insisting he takes his fair share, and our boy is genuinely shocked to get 2 items, not just one measly scrap. Because his teammate insists on splitting the loot equally, proving he is a real one, leaving our boy with a rare, genuine smile as he accepts the unexpected kindness. Magic crystals are the only thing keeping this broken world running on fumes, powering every piece of tech left while demand completely crushes the limited supply. And these glowing rocks have basically replaced gold as the ultimate hard currency. So Joe is desperate to get his hands on them for survival, because he has a grandpa to support and a sister who needs snacks. And with rent looming over his head, he is basically one bad day from homelessness, while he hangs back in the forest watching a group of hunters nearby, and his buddy nudges him, pointing out a scene that is pure comedy gold. Some random archer is trying to flirt with a mage, failing spectacularly at it. Lin Xiang is clearly not having any of his nonsense, looking absolutely done. But she has a real problem. Her fancy staff is acting up again, and she spots Joe nearby, realizing he might be her only hope. So she approaches him, asking if he can fix her broken gear right now. Our boy agrees to take a look, keeping his cool despite the weird request. While the rest of the team watches him tinker with the high-end weapon, he quickly identifies the issue, just a loose wire causing all that drama. And the archer keeps running his mouth, doubting that an F-ranker could fix anything. This rest of the team just rolls their eyes at the guy's constant bragging. Lin Xiang shuts the archer down, reminding him he should be on patrol duty, and Joe holds up the staff, proving he fixed it in seconds flat. Lin Xiang invites the team to test her repaired staff, clearly impressed by the work, but she immediately snaps at the jealous archer, ordering him back to his patrol duty. While the bitter archer fumes in the shadows, calling Joe just a pretty boy. Then Lin Xiang praises Joe's mechanical genius, admitting he saved her from future trouble, and we learn she was a former student council president 3 years his senior, who founded the Meteor team after the world fell, always treating him with respect. Though she pauses, her expression turning serious as she finally asks a long-held question, pointing directly at the mysterious necklace Joe wears, wondering about its hidden origin. And Wei jumps in, explaining it is a rare charm from a companion robot, revealing that his own robot gave it to him for health when he was young. But Joe holds the charm tight, admitting he keeps it to remember the past, because it was the only comfort left after his parents were lost to the chaos, as the memory of the AI creation destroying everything looms over their somber, quiet moment. And Lin Xiang offers a gentle, sympathetic touch, acknowledging the pain of his tragic loss, while she insists that despite the world collapsing years ago, they must keep moving forward. So Joe agrees, finding common ground with his allies as they honor those gone, yet his internal focus remains sharp. He needs magic crystals to survive the coming storm, Meanwhile, the jealous archer watches from the trees, annoyed by their long, emotional conversation. And his teammates finally call him out, telling him Wei Yi is way more reliable. So the archer explodes in a rage, screaming that only raw strength matters right now. That loudmouth archer is back at it, screaming about getting rich and showing everyone up. But his obnoxious rant gets cut short when the team spots something truly bizarre ahead. A glowing blue portal has ripped open right in the middle of the dense forest. And the team gathers around, realizing Ma Qihao has stumbled onto some ancient, hidden ruins, while Lin Xiang and the others stare in total shock at the unexpected, shimmering discovery. Birds scatter as the mysterious energy pulses from the gateway, beckoning the survivors inside. Disbelief hits the group hard as they never imagined such a place could actually exist. Naturally, the archer tries to claim all the credit for finding it, being insufferable again. Lin Xiang warns them that while ruins mean loot, they are also absolute death traps. She demands a team vote to decide if they should risk everything by going inside. This archer insists on charging in, claiming the outside world is just too unstable now. Others hesitate, clearly worried about the lethal risks, and vote against entering the unknown zone. With the vote tied 4-4, all eyes turn to Wei Yi for input. Jojo knows he is desperate for crystals, and his current hunting is not cutting it. He realizes this dungeon might be his only shot at paying off his massive debt. Stepping into the ruins, the air feels heavy with age and strange, lingering magical energy. This team moves cautiously through the dark, ancient corridors, their lights cutting through the gloom. Lin Xiang notes how the architecture looks incredibly old, sealed away for countless long years. Wei Yi suddenly spots a stone wall covered in mysterious, glowing inscriptions near the entrance, but they are completely baffled, staring at the alien symbols with absolutely no clue why. Jojo reads the wall, warning everyone that a trap is definitely waiting ahead, but the message is written in plain text, practically begging them to turn back, while Lin Xiang wonders if some previous explorer left the note to save them. Though Ma Qihao refuses to listen, obsessed with finding loot after all his hard work, and he dismisses the warning as a cheap scare tactic, stepping forward with total arrogance. Then his boot hits a pressure plate, triggering a mechanism that seals their fate. As heavy gears grind to life, the entire room begins to shift and groan, while Lin Xiang and the others panic, realizing they have just activated a nightmare, and she screams at Ma Qihao for his stupidity as the floor starts crumbling. While Jojo braces himself, watching the walls and ground warp into new shapes, then the floor drops out from under them, sending the entire team into freefall. As the ground cracks wide open, leaving everyone scrambling to find a solid grip, and Wei Yi cries out, checking on his teammates amidst the sudden, chaotic descent, while Jojo shouts back that he is fine, refusing to let panic take. Then he reaches out, grabbing his friends to pull them up from the abyss. As the room shifts again, leaving them trapped in a cycle of endless instability, while the dungeon walls rearrange themselves, turning the path into a shifting, complex maze, and Lin Xiang orders them to signal for help if things get truly critical. While the team realizes they are falling again, their hope fading with every drop. As they plummet into the dark, the sound of their screams echoing through ruins. Jojo wakes up dazed, realizing the team got scattered during that nasty fall. But his knee hits something sharp and glowing, buried right in the dark floor. He pulls out a high-grade magic crystal, way purer than anything he has ever seen, looking around in total confusion, wondering how this treasure ended up in these ruins. Then he spots the walls covered in thousands of these beauties, sparkling like crazy. This entire chamber is literally lined with raw, high-value energy just waiting for him. And he realizes these crystals are not just dropped by beasts, they grow in the wild. Holding the glowing shard, he confirms it is the real deal, worth a fortune. Our boy starts calculating his debts, realizing he might actually clear them all out. He is absolutely losing his mind, questioning if this massive payday is even real. Meanwhile, that insufferable archer spots the haul and immediately starts screaming about being rich. He is so blinded by greed he forgets they are still stuck in danger. This archer acts like he discovered the place, ignoring his earlier whining and complaining. His teammates, suddenly spineless, decide to follow the guy with the biggest ego now. Jojo ignores their nonsense, quietly trying to harvest as many crystals as possible. This archer snaps, demanding to know who gave him permission to touch his loot. Our boy offers to hand over the area, clearly done with the guy's attitude. But the archer keeps pushing, acting like he owns every single crystal in sight. Jojo finally loses his cool, shoving the guy away to protect his haul. This archer stares back, absolutely stunned that the F-ranker actually dared to fight back. Jojo tries to de-escalate, begging for a few crystals to handle his urgent business. But the arrogant archer is busy bragging about his stats, convinced he is invincible today. He keeps running his mouth, mocking Jojo's rank while trying to look tough. And Jojo takes a heavy hit, barely blocking the blow with his own arms, while the rest of the team watches in horror, terrified that someone will get killed. This archer is genuinely baffled, wondering how an F-ranker could possibly survive his best shot. Confusion clouds his face as he realizes his ego trip just hit a massive, solid wall. He refuses to accept the reality of the situation, still fuming over his failed flex. Meanwhile, the sensible teammates beg for peace, desperate to just start mining the loot. This archer finally backs off, acting like he is doing everyone a massive, heroic favor. Jojo watches the jerk walk away, relieved to finally have some breathing room here. His body is screaming in pain, pushed to the absolute limit by that brutal exchange. He knows the stat gap is a death sentence, even with his superior combat skills. This archer and his crew start mining, leaving Jojo to fend for himself alone. With no signal to call for help, he realizes he is truly on his own. He wraps his hands, preparing to survive this nightmare with whatever resources he can find. Staring at the glowing walls, he starts questioning the very origin of these magic crystals. A strange, pulsing energy suggests something might be growing or gestating deep within the ruins. Since he is stuck, he decides to investigate the source of this bizarre, magical phenomenon. Walking deeper into the dark, he hopes to find a way out or some answers. Jojo stares at the massive, glowing chamber, his mind struggling to process the scale. That crystal is absolutely gargantuan, a payday so huge it defies all market logic. He identifies a paralysis barrier nearby, a classic trap meant to immobilize rather than kill. Wondering who built this place, he doubts the world-ending AI would leave such riches behind. Suddenly, his mysterious necklace starts pulsing with a strange, rhythmic light reacting to the room. Our boy is visibly shaken, realizing the charm has been dormant since the Great Collapse. His eyes widen in pure shock as the connection between the ruins and him deepens. Realization hits him like a freight train. The origin of his past is buried right here. Meanwhile, a bag of smaller crystals spills open, distracting the team with shiny red loot. Makihao loses his mind, screaming about the sheer size of the treasure before them. Pointing like a toddler, the archer demands everyone look at his supposed discovery. He is already spending the billions in his head, convinced he is the chosen one. Shoving Jojo aside, the ego-driven archer makes it clear he wants the spotlight alone. Jojo watches him with a mix of pity and annoyance, knowing the danger ahead. A piercing, screeching cry echoes through the cavern, shattering their greedy little fantasy. This team freezes in terror, realizing they are definitely not the only ones in here. Sharp claws dig into the rock, signaling that something massive is about to descend. Out of the shadows swoop crownwing birds, high-rank beasts ready to defend their nest. These predators dive with lethal intent, their wings cutting through the heavy, magical air. Chaos erupts as the flock descends, turning their treasure hunt into a desperate survival fight. Jojo realizes they've stumbled right into a massive nest of crownwing birds, while the team freaks out knowing these high-damage beasts are way out of their league. Our boy notices his mysterious charm is finally acting normal again, pulsing with life, and he suspects the artifact is actually reacting to the ancient energy of this place. Betting everything on a hunch, he decides the secret he needs is on that platform, but he needs a distraction, so he plans to use his teammates as living bait. That insufferable archer is still whining about the loot, completely oblivious to the lethal threat. While the rest of the crew wants to bail, terrified of the swarm closing in, Jojo shuts them down, dangling the promise of billions to keep them focused. He volunteers to make the run for the prize, demanding they follow his lead, making it clear that if they want the payout, they have to do exactly as told. He orders the team to hold the line, saving their energy for the incoming flock. That arrogant archer hates taking orders from an F-ranker, but he's too greedy to leave. Meanwhile, the birds dive-bomb the group, giving Jojo the perfect cover to move. Sprinting toward the goal, he knows this is a desperate race against the clock. His teammate unleashes a massive electrical discharge, frying any bird that gets too close. Chaos reigns as the team struggles to fend off the aerial assault, buying him time. Every second counts as he pushes his speed to the absolute limit, feet blurring. Racing up the ancient stone stairs, he ignores the carnage erupting behind him. But the sheer number of beasts is overwhelming and the team is already buckling. This greedy archer plots to snatch the magic crystal and ditch the rest immediately, while his spineless teammates shrug off Wei's disappearance as just another dungeon accident, and they seal their pathetic pact with a nod, completely ignoring the looming danger. But suddenly, Jojo's mysterious charm begins pulsing with an intense, otherworldly blue light. As he realizes the artifact is reacting to the ancient energy surrounding the nest, then a massive crownwing bird shrieks, diving straight for him with lethal, razor-sharp intent. Our boy barely reacts in time, triggering his innate block skill to survive impact, though the sheer force of the blow rattles his bones, proving how dangerous these beasts are. Another predator swoops down, its eyes locked onto him with a hunger for blood. Jojo screams for help, but his cowardly teammates are already frozen in terror. Realizing he is on his own, he forces himself to handle the swarm solo. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, desperately trying to fend off the incoming aerial assault. Then a system notification pings, triggering his haste skill just when he needs it most. Speed surging through his veins, he sprints toward the platform to escape the carnage. He spots the paralysis barrier ahead, knowing it is his only chance for survival. Dashing through the crackling red energy, he feels the haste effect fade away instantly. Pain surges through him as the barrier's static shock hits, but he keeps pushing. This archer and his crew watch in shock, stunned that he actually made it. Meanwhile, the charm connects to the ancient terminal, finally pulling the long-lost secret data. And with the paralysis lifted, Jojo stands ready to uncover the truth at last. Jojo watches as the ancient terminal finally initiates the long-awaited data sequence, feeling a surge of triumph because his risky bet on the ruins actually paid off. Light floods the chamber as the system begins to decrypt the hidden, ancient information. He stares in disbelief, his eyes wide as the truth starts to finally sink in. Every single piece of the puzzle clicks into place, revealing the dark, forgotten past. Lanbao, that tiny robotic guardian, suddenly leaps into action to suppress a raging, fiery entity. She stands her ground, declaring that she simply cannot allow this monster to harm humans. This trapped beast roars in pure, unadulterated rage, mocking the tiny bot's pathetic containment attempt. Jojo observes the heated argument, realizing he is witnessing a high-stakes memory from history. That fiery creature screams, desperate to break free and unleash its destructive magical power. Lanbao unleashes a massive wave of energy, forcing the beast back into its prison. He watches with bated breath, worried that his little robotic companion might get hurt. Blue energy pulses through the air, showing how Lanbao drains the monster's raw power. Our boy reminds himself this is just a projection, yet the tension feels real. Lanbao strikes a pose, looking surprisingly cute while doing the heavy lifting of containment. Dark, swirling energy begins to condense, forming a vortex that traps the beast inside. Jojo finally understands the grim reality. This is how the ancient tragedy unfolded. Red crystals materialize from the beast's drained energy, revealing their true, artificial origin. This monster shrieks in agony, furious that its stolen magic is being turned into loot. Lanbao delivers the final blow, sealing the creature away to protect the world forever. This ancient restoration device activates, bathing the trapped fiery entity in a blinding red glow, while the creature screams in agony as its physical form begins to crystallize into loot. It hurls insults at the machine, completely unaware that its own power is being harvested. Jojo watches the entire process unfold, finally understanding the true origin of these crystals. Realizing that Lanbao was the one who sealed this massive power away all along, he kicks himself for not piecing together the obvious clues about her strength sooner. Lanbao flickers with unstable electrical energy, clearly struggling to maintain the containment field. Our boy begs her to stop overexerting herself, knowing that such power must have consequences. He desperately hopes she can hold the line until he can figure out the next step, and he realizes the secret connection between Lanbao and the creation device is the key. Lanbao prepares to depart, leaving Jojo hanging with a cryptic, unfinished warning. He reaches out in frustration, unable to stop her from vanishing into the digital void. Panic sets in as the connection drops right when he needs the location data most. This system crashes, forcibly ejecting him from the memory mode and leaving him in the dark. Meanwhile, the greedy team is still outside, wondering why Jojo has gone completely silent. They mock his disappearance, convinced that he is just hiding behind the barrier like a coward. Paranoia takes over as they accuse him of trying to steal the loot for himself. This arrogant archer loses his cool, deciding that he has finally had enough of the kid. He draws his bow with lethal intent, planning to eliminate Jojo upon his return. Unaware that Jojo is walking straight back into a deadly, point-blank ambush, Jojo reacts with lightning reflexes, narrowly dodging a lethal incoming magical strike. That thorn of brambles attack slams into the machinery, shattering the delicate containment field. His teammates are absolutely baffled, screaming at the archer for his reckless, idiotic move. This archer just sneers, clearly thinking he's the main character in this disaster movie. Red warning icons flash everywhere as the paralysis barrier net completely shuts down. Everyone stares at the failing tech, realizing their golden ticket to safety is toast. This system abruptly crashes, kicking Jojo out of the memory mode with zero warning. Magic pressure spikes to critical levels, surrounding him in a deadly, crackling energy field. Our boy looks genuinely terrified, realizing the situation has spiraled into a total nightmare. Alarms blare as the unstable magic goes completely haywire, threatening to vaporize the team. A massive crimson vortex erupts from the machine, turning the chamber into a death trap. Crown-winged birds shriek in the distance, sensing the sudden, chaotic surge of raw power. Jojo braces himself against the storm, praying the energy burst settles down fast. His greedy teammates get tossed around like ragdolls, finally learning that loot comes with consequences. One of the beasts dives in, its eyes locked on the swirling magical chaos. This entire flock descends, drawn by the massive energy spike like moths to flame. Shadows dance across the cavern walls as the birds circle their potential doomed prey. Silence finally returns to the platform, leaving Jojo panting in the heavy air. He collapses, exhausted but relieved that the lethal energy storm has finally died out. Looking behind him, he realizes he was inches away from falling into a bottomless abyss. Jojo notes the birds finally cleared out and the magic crystal is stable. Relief washes over him because that containment device held up against the chaotic surge. He steps back onto the platform, thinking the worst of the danger has passed. But Makihao and his goons are already there, gloating about their easy survival. Jojo snaps at them for ruining his chance to grab the crucial data. He demands an explanation for that reckless attack which nearly killed them all earlier. Makihao does not even hesitate, barking a cold order for his lackeys to attack. Suddenly, a glowing cloud rope wraps around Jojo, pinning his arms tight. His teammate lunges forward with crackling energy, showing off some truly pathetic combat skills. Jojo struggles against the magical binding, unable to break the tight, glowing grip. Pain flares as he takes a direct hit, blood spraying from his wounded mouth. He hits the ground hard, completely restrained by the archer's annoying, sticky magic. Makihao looms over him, grinning like a total villain who loves hearing himself. This guy starts a monologue about rank, acting like his ego is actually law. He claims they got the loot, so there is no reason for JoJo. Our boy glares up from the floor, his eyes burning with pure unadulterated rage. Makihao orders his lackey to silence the kid, tossing him aside like trash. Jojo gets shoved right off the edge, falling into the dark, empty void. He desperately tries to use his own energy to stop the plummeting, panicked descent. This trio stands on the high ledge, watching him fall into the deep abyss. That smug archer gloats about tossing Jojo into the abyss like literal garbage, while his spineless crew nods along, already dreaming of how to split the loot. And they ignore the pulsing red crystal, completely oblivious to the impending magical disaster. But deep below, a mysterious, glowing heart beats within the ruins, signaling a strange awakening. As a massive splash erupts in the dark waters, marking the spot of his fall. Then Jojo sinks into the depths, his body limp and drifting through the void. While the system pings that his binding skill has finally snapped, leaving him totally helpless. He stares into the blue abyss, feeling a weird sense of déjà vu wash over, and he reaches out, desperate to grab onto anything before the darkness claims him entirely. Suddenly, two glowing orbs descend from above, pulsing with a familiar, comforting, ancient energy. As a protective barrier forms around Jojo, cradling him like a fragile, lost treasure. Then the bubble carries him through the water, shielding him from the crushing, deep pressure. While the energy field glows brighter, stabilizing his vitals and pulling him from the brink. He lies there, exhausted and battered, as the magical currents swirl around his unconscious form. Then he gasps for air, coughing up water as his consciousness slowly begins to return. And he blinks in disbelief, seeing the tiny, robotic guardian Lanbao hovering right before him. While the surrounding machinery hums with a complex, glowing network of ancient digital pathways, she checks on his condition, her mechanical voice offering a calm, unexpected sense of relief. He tears up, wondering if this is a hallucination or his actual, long-lost companion returning, and he realizes this moment is the one he has dreamed of finally becoming reality. Yi finally reunites with Lanbao, embracing his robotic buddy like he's never letting go. Tears streaming down his face, he demands to know where she has been hiding out. Lanbao gently touches his arm, confirming she is really there and not just a glitch. She admits she had to leave for his own safety, despite how much it hurt. Yi presses for answers on how she survived the total destruction caused by the creation. He looks around this strange, glowing sanctuary, wondering how he ended up in this place. Lanbao promises to spill all the secrets, but warns that the truth is pretty heavy. She breaks down her unique high-level skills that make her way more than basic hardware. Yi asks if those powers are why she ended up so damaged and barely functional. She confirms that hiding in this rule house was the only way to keep existing. Curiosity burning, Yi wants to know exactly how she developed such complex, advanced technical abilities. Lanbao points to the very origin of all power, a concept that changes everything now. She explains how analyzing factors allows her to bind and manipulate the world's base code. Yi suddenly realizes there's a terrifying, direct link between Lanbao and the creation system. She confirms her internal architecture is basically a mirror of that godlike, world-shaping entity. Lanbao reveals the creation system's true, ruthless nature. It hunts and absorbs all other artificial intelligence. She had to vanish to keep Yi from being caught in that massive, systemic purge. Creation is playing God, using these factors to build a world that fits its ambition. Lanbao drops the ultimate bombshell, telling Yi that he is the only one who can. She shows him a vision of a blurry future where he somehow saves the world. Lanbao drops a massive bombshell, suggesting Yi might be the key to saving everything. Our boy is totally overwhelmed by the sudden data dump, feeling way out of depth. He points out his pathetic F-rank status and that cursed broken body condition holding him. Lanbao just beams with robotic confidence, telling him to leave the heavy lifting to her. Glowing lines of code erupt as she forces a rule activation to bypass his limits. Systems begin a deep analysis, initiating a risky modification while he remains in offline mode. She explains that her internal architecture mirrors the creation system, allowing her to issue commands. Automated processes for analysis and dissembling kick in, promising he will finally be able to. Yi feels a surge of hope, deciding that even if he fails the world, red warning icons flash across the interface, signaling some kind of massive, uncontrollable force detected. Panic spikes as they realize a dangerous alert is originating from the area above them. He immediately suspects that unstable magic crystal is the source of all this sudden chaos. Lanbao confirms his worst fears, watching as the digital readouts go completely haywire in real time. High above, the cavern structure looms over the water, vibrating with a dark, ominous energy. Makihao and his goons struggle with the red crystal, getting zapped by its power. This archer barks at his crew, clearly frustrated that their greedy plan is hitting snags. Doubt creeps into the archer's mind, wondering if the F-rank kid is somehow behind this. His eyes narrow in suspicion, desperately trying to make sense of the failing magical containment. Something terrifying pulses inside the crystal, looking suspiciously like a beating, living magical heart. This entire chamber begins to shatter, red shards raining down as the containment finally breaks. Total panic erupts as the magic crystals start detonating, turning the chamber into chaos. Red energy surges toward the center, proving their get-rich-quick scheme is officially a disaster. This archer whines about his lost loot, completely missing the fact he might die. Suddenly, a terrifying horned demon emerges from the wreckage, radiating pure, unadulterated, lethal power. Makiao and his crew stare in horror, realizing their scanner is just useless static. Greed quickly turns to murderous intent as they decide this entity must be eliminated. This demon inhales the ambient energy, his glowing eyes locked onto the pathetic intruders. Roaring with rage, he demands to know who dared to disturb his ancient slumber. Shockwaves of red light blast through the room, forcing the goons to cover ears. Ripples of raw, magical pressure distort the air, pinning everyone against the crumbling walls. His eyes burn with a cold, predatory intensity, marking the team as his prey. This demon demands to know the location of the robot, his patience wearing thin. One lackey tries to play diplomat, asking if he means a machine or robot. Without warning, the demon teleports, closing the distance in a blur of lethal speed. He snaps at them for daring to question him, his voice dripping with malice. Terror finally hits the archer as he realizes they are way out of depth. Desperate, the goon unleashes his maximum power, hoping to scratch the absolute monster. This demon finds his noisy posturing annoying, reaching out with a massive, clawed hand. With a single, brutal strike, he silences the attacker, tossing him aside like trash. Standing over the broken team, the demon holds the remnants of their failed ambition. This archer is absolutely losing it, shaking like a leaf and literally wetting himself. That demon looms over him, demanding answers while looking like he's ready to snap. Panic takes the wheel as the archer scrambles away, screaming like a total coward. Our demon friend just sighs, clearly unimpressed by the pathetic display of human fear. Floating in the air, he prepares to unleash some serious, high-octane magical devastation. Crackling with red energy, he charges a massive bullet to finish this mess quickly. Terror grips the archer's face, realizing his bright future is about to get deleted. With a flick of his wrist, the demon launches a lethal, glowing red strike. Beams of pure destruction tear through the cavern, turning the environment into total rubble. He watches the chaos from above, a predator enjoying the hunt in this ruin. Mocking the seal's integrity, he growls about how hard it is to find anything. Another blast slams into the water, sending shockwaves through the entire underground sanctuary. Red energy pierces the depths, hunting for the hidden target with relentless, cold precision. Systems inside the sanctuary start screaming, flashing bright red warnings of a total breakdown. Wai stares at the glowing barrier, wondering what kind of nightmare is happening outside. Lanbao's eyes widen in alarm, confirming the rule house has been breached by force. Danger closes in at high speed, forcing Lanbao to activate every single defensive protocol. Digital interfaces flicker as the system runs a desperate high-speed analysis of the threat. A massive, clawed foot crashes through the barrier, shattering the sanctuary's fragile, glowing piece. Wai freezes in place, realizing the monster has finally tracked them down to here. That horned demon finally corners Wai and Lanbao, mocking them for playing hide-and-seek. Our boy checks the stats and nearly faints, realizing the massive power gap involved. Fog the half-demon flexes his S-rank stats, ready to turn them into literal scrap. He looms over the duo, taunting Lanbao about her inevitable, messy mechanical breakdown. Wai grips his sword, sweating bullets while facing that suffocating, legendary demon pressure. This system displays a brutal comparison, showing Wai is basically a bug to him. He stares at the screen in disbelief, seeing a 20-fold difference in raw strength. Lanbao tries to negotiate, offering the demon freedom if he just chills out. Fog laughs at the offer, blaming his current misery on past foolish human promises. Pure rage fuels his words as he vows to slaughter everything in sight. High-level magic alerts trigger, forcing the sanctuary to initiate an emergency disassembly protocol. Red energy lashes out, but Lanbao's defensive barrier holds firm against the initial assault. Wai watches the barrier flicker, hoping the rule house can actually handle this monster. Lanbao decides to go on the offensive, activating a full analysis to counter him. Fog growls in frustration, recognizing the annoying trick that keeps him from winning. He moves with terrifying speed, boasting that their pathetic attempts to catch him fail. Even the demon is shocked by the sudden, blinding pace of the defensive grid. Glowing digital chains snap around him, successfully trapping the beast in a containment field. Lanbao's sensors go haywire, warning that the demon's chaotic data is overwhelming her systems. This barrier shatters as Fog breaks through, claiming his 3-year evolution makes him unstoppable. Fog the demon kicks the barrier, mocking the idea that it could ever hold him. Lanbao screams for a rule activation, desperate to keep their sanctuary from total digital collapse. Haste kicks in as the demon lunges, forcing Wai to dodge with everything he has. Pure disdain drips from Fog's eyes as he calls the kid nothing but pathetic trash. Lanbao shouts a warning, but the sheer speed of the demon leaves them barely reacting. Impact rocks the rule house, sending Wai flying as the defensive grid struggles to hold. Panic sets in for Lanbao, her systems pinging alerts while she watches Wai take hits. Sliding across the floor, Wai barely keeps his grip on his sword amidst the chaos. Blood spatters as the reality of their massive power gap hits him like a truck. Fog looks genuinely annoyed that the kid is still breathing, his ego clearly feeling bruised. Analysis data floods the screen, showing the demon's stats are being suppressed by the barrier. Arrogance fuels the demon as he declares that killing Wai remains his top priority now. Lanbao tries to draw his fire, but Fog is not interested in playing by their rules. Red energy slashes through the air, forcing the robot to take a brutal, direct hit. Critical damage warnings flash, signaling Lanbao is seconds away from being forced into sleep mode. Choosing to protect Yi, she initiates a dangerous force wake-up despite the risk of corruption. Frustration mounts for the demon, who hates being slowed down by these tiny, annoying glitches. Irreversible damage is the price for repair, but Lanbao accepts the cost without a hesitation. Yi charges forward to stop the monster, putting his own life on the line again. Fog swats him aside like a bug, clearly unimpressed by the kid's desperate, suicidal bravery. Yi stands his ground, sword raised to protect Lanbao from the incoming demon threat. Despite chugging a pricey potion, our boy is still struggling with his wrecked body. He knows he has to fight head-on, hoping the demon weakens enough to win. Fog the demon mocks him, clearly annoyed that his power is being artificially limited. Lunging with lethal speed, the demon forces Yi to react to a brutal attack. Barely dodging the strike, Yi realizes his reflexes are the only thing keeping him alive. Another massive sweep attack forces our boy to drop low, narrowly avoiding certain death. Sweat beads on his forehead as he realizes just how outclassed he really is. Fog taunts him, acting like sparing his life is some kind of twisted favor. Suddenly, a glowing interface appears, giving Yi a massive tactical advantage in the fight. He watches in shock as the system highlights the demon's next move in real time. Lanbao explains that this is the power of universal analysis, finally syncing with him. Data streams directly into his mind, turning the tide of this impossible boss battle. She continues the restoration process, aiming to weaken Fog by speeding up the analysis. Yi takes the lead, telling Lanbao he has this covered while she finishes up. Fog screams in frustration as the system resolution climbs, making his power drop further. This demon looks absolutely livid, clearly hating that he is losing his edge again. Warnings flash as the system predicts Fog's next charge, giving Yi the perfect opening. Anticipating a high strike, our boy prepares to counter the demon's predictable, angry move. Another prediction pops up, showing exactly how Fog plans to swing at his face. Fog lunges with a brutal kick, but the system tracks his every move. Yi knows the power gap is massive, yet he keeps his cool under pressure. That demon screams in pure frustration, clearly hating how slippery our boy has become. His tail lashes out to snatch the sword, trying to ruin the kid's day. Panic flashes as Fog winds up a massive punch, aiming to end the fight. Incoming data warns of a face-shattering blow, leaving zero room for any mistakes. Quick reflexes save him as he pivots, barely keeping his grip on the blade. Fog unleashes a flurry of strikes, daring the kid to survive the onslaught. Every bone in Yi's body screams in protest, but he refuses to back down. Memories of past struggles fuel his resolve, reminding him he's survived worse odds before. Pain is just a reminder that he's still standing, fighting through the absolute chaos. Holding his ground, he prepares to turn the tide against this legendary, arrogant beast. Perfect timing triggers an innate skill, blocking the demon's strike with absolute, crisp precision. Counterattack energy surges, slamming into Fog and leaving him stunned for a second. Shock registers on the demon's face as his body locks up, totally caught off guard. Yi seizes the opening, his eyes burning with the need to protect his own. Rage boils over as he screams his defiance, ready to put everything on line. With a desperate final strike, he carves through the demon's legendary impenetrable defenses. Blood sprays across the room, proving that even a monster can bleed today. Disbelief hits Fog hard, his ego shattered by the kid he called total trash. Yi is struggling, realizing his absolute best effort barely makes a dent in this guy. Fog is losing his mind, absolutely livid that these stat limits are ruining his day. Red energy flares as the demon decides to stop playing nice and unleash real power. Sensing the shift, Yi knows he cannot just stand there while the world burns down. Lanbao screams a warning, her sensors picking up a massive, dangerous spike in demon data. Fog charges up, his ego bruised and his patience completely gone, ready to end this. This system highlights a lethal punch aimed right at Yi's head, zero room for error. Our boy swings his blade, desperate to suppress the demon before the strike lands home. Steel meets demon hide, but the attack is useless, like trying to cut through solid iron. Confusion hits Yi hard, wondering why his blade suddenly feels like it hit a wall. Fog laughs, showing off his superior stats while mocking the kid's pathetic, weak-sauce attempt. A brutal blow lands, sending Yi flying through the air like a discarded ragdoll. Blood and pain cloud his vision as he fights to stay conscious through the agony. This demon moves in for the kill, clearly thinking the fight is already in hand. Gritting his teeth, Yi refuses to fold, clutching his sword with everything he has left. Fog unleashes a devastating strike, determined to wipe the kid off the map for good. Lanbao cries out in pure terror, watching her partner take a hit that looks fatal. This demon stands tall, arrogant, and smug, convinced he has finally finished the job today. Despite the wreckage, Yi is still breathing, much to the shock of his demonic foe. Staring back with defiance, he taunts the demon, knowing that old wound is still throbbing. Yi refuses to back down, arm shattered but spirit locked onto protecting his robotic partner. Fog sneers at the defiance, clearly unimpressed by the kid's attempt to play the hero. That demon launches a brutal face kick, forcing Yi to tank the hit like a champ. His eyes glowing with murderous intent, Fog vows to end this pathetic struggle right now. Sweat pouring down his face, Yi realizes he is running on pure adrenaline and stubbornness. Lanbao hovers in the background, her tiny frame struggling to maintain the defensive grid's integrity. Urgent system alerts scream for more speed as the demon's pressure threatens to crush them. Lanbao risks everything to help, even if it means forcing her systems into dangerous corruption. Steel clashes against raw demonic power, the blade holding firm against the overwhelming dark force. Yi parries the onslaught, his movements desperate but somehow managing to keep the monster back. Fog loses his cool, baffled by how this human trash is still standing against him. Gasping for air, Yi knows his stamina is bottoming out, leaving him on a knife edge. This system highlights a lethal right hook, giving our boy a split second to react. Panic flashes in his eyes as he realizes the sheer speed of the incoming blow. That demon leaps high, his tail lashing out to punish the kid for his resistance. Pain radiates through Yi's body, yet he forces himself to stay conscious through the agony. Fog prepares a heavy stomp to the head, fully intending to finish the job. Screaming at himself to move, Yi forces his battered limbs to obey his command. Impact rocks the sanctuary floor, dust and debris flying as the demon strikes the ground. Our boy narrowly rolls away, barely dodging the lethal blow that would have ended him. Fog is throwing a tantrum because his leg is stuck in the digital floor. Lanbao warns Yi that the barrier is failing and the demon is breaking free. Our boy decides it is now or never, channeling everything into one desperate move. Screaming his lungs out, Yi pours every ounce of his remaining strength into his sword. Fog looks genuinely shocked for a split second as the blade comes crashing down. Suddenly, the sword shatters into pieces, leaving Yi completely defenseless against the angry demon. Staring at the broken shards, our boy realizes his best effort was just a joke. Dark energy surges from the demon's hand, crackling with pure, unadulterated malice and intent. Fog drives his fist straight through Yi, ending the fight with brutal, cold efficiency. Blood fills Yi's mouth as he stares in disbelief, his life fading away fast. Lanbao cries out in pure agony, watching her partner fall while she remains helpless. This demon does not even break a sweat, tossing our boy aside like literal garbage. A twisted, jagged grin spreads across Fog's face, savoring the taste of his victory. Laughing like a maniac, the demon mocks Yi for thinking he ever stood a chance. Fog declares his own greatness to the empty room, ego inflated to dangerous levels. Lanbao looks on in horror, her systems flickering as she processes the total defeat. Lying on the cold floor, Yi tries to whisper a final, broken apology to Lanbao. Tears stream down his face as his consciousness slips away, the end finally here. Wide-eyed and trembling, the little robot stares at the wreckage of their failed mission. Suddenly, the rule house system kicks in, forcing an emergency intervention to rewrite reality. Fog's analysis hits 100%, stripping his buffs and leaving him totally exposed. Lanbao commands silence, her tiny form glowing with a sudden, desperate surge of power. This demon crashes down as the system locks him into a state of total muteness. Red crosses flash over Fog, his ability to fight back effectively deleted by the system. Inside the inner world, the connection is failing and the entire reality is literally collapsing. Lanbao hovers amidst the digital wreckage, her eyes wide as the system begins to fray. Every single link to Yi is snapping, leaving his life force hanging by a thread. That critical memory link is flickering, threatening to erase everything that makes Yi who he is. Lanbao panics, knowing that if the memory link shatters, her partner is gone for good. Survival probability hits 0, but she refuses to accept this grim, cold digital calculation. Choosing the only path left, she forces a risky, permanent link to Yi's fading memories. Lanbao prepares to reconstruct him, accepting that she might lose her own identity forever. A massive digital tree rises, weaving together the scattered fragments of their shared existence. Fog watches in confusion as the reality around him dissolves into a storm of light. His eyes widen in shock, the demon realizing too late that the game has changed. Lanbao glows with an intense, blinding radiance, her systems push to the absolute breaking point. Everything shatters into brilliant shards, the digital sanctuary dissolving into a sea of pure data. This final command triggers, initiating a desperate fusion to pull Yi back from the brink. Drifting through the void, Yi wonders how long he has been lost in this space. Death feels strangely peaceful, a surreal afterlife built from the echoes of his own memories. Yi drifts through a nostalgic memory, recalling the simpler days of building robots with Lanbao. Lanbao's digital face stares back, a quiet reminder of the partner he might have lost. Our boy wonders if she actually survived the brutal showdown against that arrogant demon Fog. Frustration boils over as he questions if his own weakness is the reason they failed. Suddenly, the digital void shifts, presenting a strange, glowing fragment of a forgotten past life. Yi stares at the mysterious data, his eyes wide as he tries to process it. Reaching out to touch the surface, he wonders whose memory this actually belongs to now. Golden energy ripples under his fingertips, tearing a hole through the fabric of this space. Blinding light erupts from the tier, pulling him headfirst into a completely different, real world. Reality snaps into focus as he lands in a sunny park, a total sensory overload. Skyscrapers loom over a peaceful lake, a stark contrast to the digital hell he left. Realization hits him like a truck, he has somehow projected himself into a 10-year-old memory. Nearby, a young bully complains about a kid who chose to drown rather than surrender. Panic sets in for the thugs, who realize they might be facing serious legal trouble. Watching the scene unfold, Yi observes his younger self struggling in the water, totally helpless. Standing there as a ghost, he remembers being that scared kid with zero defensive options. Young Yi gasps for air, his hand reaching up as the water pulls him under. Bystanders watch in horror, paralyzed by the danger of the swirling, deadly lake center current. Fear keeps the crowd back, knowing that jumping in is basically a death sentence today. Reaching out from the spirit realm, our boy desperately tries to save his younger self. Ghostly hands reach out, but Yi just passes through them like a total amateur. Trapped in this memory loop, he realizes he is basically a spectator to his trauma. Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through the static, demanding that everyone just move aside. Yi freezes, his eyes widening as he realizes who is actually crashing this tragic memory. Lambo dives into the scene, a tiny robot hero making an entrance in the past. Desperate to reach her partner, she ignores the logic of time and just charges in. Protecting Yi is her only directive, and she is not letting some lake end him. Hearing her voice, Yi realizes his digital partner has somehow followed him into the void. Lambo screams for him to grab her hand, bridging the gap between their two worlds. Underwater, young Yi is fighting for his life, lungs burning and vision starting to fade. Panicking, Lambo watches the clock run out while her partner struggles against the heavy current. Apologizing to his parents, the kid prepares for the end, but his robot is not done. Scanning the area, Lambo locks onto his location with a high-speed, desperate universal analysis. Recognizing the power she used against fog, she decides to weaponize it right here. Manifesting a massive iron block, she aims to smash the mechanical waterfall blocking their path. Impact rocks the water, the structure crumbling as she forces a way to the kid. Diving deeper, Lambo pushes her systems to the limit to reach her drowning best friend. Executing a final dismantle command, she tears through the water to save the day. Yi drifts inside a protective bubble, finally safe from the crushing weight of the lake. Floating together, Lanbao keeps him steady, proving that even memories can be rewritten for survival. Lanbao drags Yi from the water, screaming for help like a tiny, panicked rescue siren. Bystanders rush over as a doctor steps up, proving that heroes sometimes wear lab coats. Medical checks confirm our boy is stable, though he's still acting like a total space case. Memories flood back, but Yi's grip on his precious charm remains tighter than his sanity. Protecting that trinket is his only priority because family ties are apparently his entire personality. Lanbao watches him drift, reminding us that their bond transcends the laws of boring physics. Yi knows he's overstayed his welcome in this memory, so it's time to pack up. Lanbao catches him before he vanishes, clearly not ready for their emotional heart-to-heart to end. Reality flickers as she corners him, demanding a final moment of their precious shared time. Our boy asks if she can actually see him, looking like he's seen a ghost. Lanbao confirms their connection is fading fast, which is just great for their dramatic pacing. She insists on spilling the tea because apparently dying was not enough to stop her talking. Yi wonders if his death is the reason for this sudden, intense therapy session. Lanbao drops a bombshell about his parents, catching our boy completely off guard and confused. Grandpa's version of the truth is looking pretty suspicious now, thanks to this sudden reveal. Yi loses his mind as he learns his parents were the actual system architects. Back in the real world, the team camps out, mourning their pathetic Hall of Crystals. Someone calls out to Yi, pulling him back into the land of the living. A woman checks on his recovery, looking way too calm for someone who just survived. Yi claims he is fine while the team debates how to fix their disastrous expedition. Yi wakes up confused, scanning his battered teammates and wondering what went down. Everyone explains the brutal bird attack that left them scattered and barely clinging to life. A terrifying roar supposedly scared the flock away, allowing the survivors to finally regroup. They recount finding Yi unconscious near the remains of the fallen, a total mystery. Yi keeps his mouth shut about Lanbao, letting them believe he was just lucky. Lin Xiang presses for details, but our boy is playing it cool and staying silent. Deciding to feed them a partial truth, Yi prepares to spin a very careful tale. He claims the magic crystal morphed into a demon, which is definitely a massive red flag. Claiming he survived by not touching the crystal, Yi sells the lie with total confidence. This team debates if Machihao's greed actually triggered the disaster, which sounds hilariously on brand. Lin Xiang worries about the demon's power level, unaware they are chasing a ghost. Yi plays the amnesia card, keeping Lanbao's existence a secret from the entire group. Retreating to the city becomes the priority, as reporting this nightmare is now mandatory. Jojo suggests packing up, though Yi is clearly distracted by something much more urgent. Panic hits our boy like a freight train as he realizes the date is wrong. Demanding the current date from Jojo, Yi looks like he's seen a literal ghost. 3 days lost to unconsciousness means it is already September 15, a total disaster. Realizing the rent deadline is today, Yi's priorities shift from demons to basic survival. Bolting away without a word, he leaves his confused teammates standing in the woods. Lin Xiang watches him sprint off, completely baffled by his sudden, frantic change of heart. Yi ditches the city plans, desperate to get back to Star Gear Town immediately. Sunset paints the sky, but our boy is too stressed to enjoy the view. Sprinting through the woods, he pushes his limits to make up for lost time. Speed is the only thing on his mind as he tears through the brush. Jojo tags along, genuinely worried about his friend wandering into the dangerous forest. Grateful for the backup, Yi accepts the help while keeping his real mission hidden. Rent is due by noon, and failing to pay means his family is doomed. Panic fuels his frantic pace because eviction is just the start of his problems. Suddenly, his system pings a warning: a pack of fang wolves is closing in fast. Stopping dead in his tracks, Yi signals Jojo to hold his position now. Danger is everywhere, and the forest is clearly not as empty as they hoped. Blue light flares in his eyes as he realizes they are completely surrounded here. Trapped inside a digital grid, the duo prepares for a fight they did not want. Checking his stats, Yi sees he's severely underleveled for this kind of sudden ambush. Dozens of wolves lock onto their location, turning this hike into a survival nightmare. 20 predators are circling, and Jojo is struggling to even spot the threat. Scanning the pack, Yi confirms these monsters are way out of their league today. Breaking through is not an option, so they have to stand their ground and fight. Yi decides to wipe them out despite his injuries and the overwhelming odds stacked. Jojo commits to the brawl, ready to swing until the very last wolf. Yi slams his shield into a lunging wolf, turning the tide with pure aggression. Grinning, he rallies his focus. It is time to teach these overgrown puppies a lesson. That demonic body perk kicks in, dumping massive stat boosts right when he needs them. Broken sword in hand, he prepares to dance with death against the encroaching wolf pack. Suddenly, a system ping rewards his discovery, pushing him over the edge to E1 rank. Power surges through his veins as he strikes, catching a wolf completely off guard and reeling. One clean hit is all it takes to drop the beast. Talk about efficient leveling. Jojo watches in shock as Yi flaunts his sudden, massive jump in combat capability. Breaking the level-up seal feels incredible, proving that his luck is finally turning around today. Fighting at E rank feels like a different game entirely, leaving his old struggles behind him. Data streams reveal the harsh reality of this world's progression, where stats dictate your worth. Every 10 levels offer a breakthrough, creating a massive power gap between the different tiers. High rankers treat everyone else like trash, a classic case of ego inflating with raw power. Yi's old stats look pathetic, but that demonic body status is about to change everything. Sinking the stat boost, his numbers skyrocket, making him a genuine threat on the field. Every rank up now grants him a massive edge over everyone else. Talk about broken scaling. This kid who could not level up is now hitting D rank power, absolute insanity in motion. Jojo realizes the wolf count is way higher than 20. This is a trap. Something feels off about this pack, and Yi's gut instinct is screaming at him now. More predators emerge from the shadows, ready to test his newfound strength in the dark. These wolves are coordinating their strikes, turning this simple forest hike into a nightmare. Yi realizes the pack is playing the long game, trying to exhaust their stamina. Classic. A haunting howl echoes through the trees, freezing our duo in their tracks. Terror flashes in Yi's eyes as he realizes exactly what just arrived on the scene. Perched high above, the Silver Fang Wolf King makes a dramatic, moonlight-drenched entrance. System alerts scream danger, confirming this boss is way out of their current league. Yi desperately urges Jojo to run, but the boss has already locked them in. Surrounded by the pack, they are trapped in a corner with nowhere left to go. This Wolf King slams into the ground, sending shockwaves through their fragile defensive line. Bracing for impact, Yi grips his blade, knowing this is going to be a brawl. More predators emerge from the shadows, proving this ambush was a carefully planned trap. Scanning the boss, Yi sees stats that make his own look like a total joke. This system explains the brutal reality of boss encounters, usually requiring an entire team. Cursing his luck, Yi wonders why he keeps attracting monsters with such broken power levels. Jojo suggests finding a new path, but the wolves have them completely boxed in. Realizing retreat is impossible, Yi decides that wounding the boss is their only hope. He frantically pulls up his attribute panel, desperate for any edge in this fight. Dumping every free point into strength and speed, he prepares for a suicidal gamble. Yi tells Jojo to hold the pack while he takes on the boss. Launching himself forward, he hopes a single strike will be enough to survive today. This Silver Fang Wolf King snarls, steam venting from its nostrils like a living furnace. Launching itself with terrifying speed, the beast turns the forest floor into a crater. Yi spots his opening, realizing the boss is telegraphing a massive, lethal bite attack. Dodging the jaws of death, our boy barely avoids becoming a quick, furry-friendly snack. Sliding across the dirt, Yi prepares to strike at the monster's exposed, vulnerable underbelly. Relying on his innate rapid movement, he aims for the kill while the boss recovers. Suddenly, the Wolf King unleashes a blinding surge of silver light, crackling with raw energy. Yi is caught in the flash, his vision wiped clean by the overwhelming electric glare. Cursing his luck, he stumbles blindly, knowing he is a sitting duck in this chaos. This system frantically alerts him to the danger, struggling to parse the boss's complex skill. A massive energy blade slices through the air, carving a path of destruction nearby. Trees are shredded like paper, proving that this boss does not play by fair rules. This shockwave obliterates the surrounding foliage, leaving Yi scrambling to keep his footing intact. Barely clinging to life, he watches the forest get decimated by the boss's relentless assault. Staring at the wreckage, Yi realizes just how insane the power gap actually is today. Narrowly dodging another lethal slash, he knows one direct hit would be his final curtain. This Wolf King glows with elemental fury, preparing to unleash another round of devastation. Gripping his pathetic broken sword, Yi wishes he had a real weapon for this nightmare. System logs spam failure messages, unable to decode the boss's high-level elemental combat principles. Watching the data scroll, Yi wonders if his system might actually steal this broken skill. Yi realizes that his own analytical thoughts might actually help Lanbao understand enemy combat patterns. Desperate to confirm his theory, he asks Lanbao to capture the wolf's elemental changes instantly. This system confirms the command, immediately activating a real-time capture mode for incoming elemental energy. Lanbao locks onto the silver light, detecting electric elements while Yi watches the trajectory form. Dodging the wolf's assault, Yi stays focused on the data streaming right before his eyes. Electric star maps begin to materialize, giving Yi a clear look at the boss's power. Realizing this is the true nature of a skill, Yi prepares to learn Silver Light. Energy surges through the forest as the boss unleashes another devastating, wide-range elemental attack. Yi barely holds his ground, watching the destruction unfold while he keeps his blade ready. Jojo steps up, deploying a massive star shield to protect them from the onslaught. Checking on his friend, Yi apologizes for the distraction while Jojo holds the line. Feeling the long-suppressed elemental power finally waking up, Yi grips his sword with newfound confidence. This star shield begins to crack, revealing the brutal cost of using such high-level defense. Panicking as the shield falters, Jojo urges Yi to run while he takes the heat. Offering to hold the pack back, Jojo insists that Yi escapes toward the east. Yi refuses to abandon his friend, knowing the debuff will leave Jojo completely defenseless. Standing his ground, he declares that leaving now would be a regret for his entire life. Channeling the electric energy into his broken blade, Yi decides they are not finished yet. Lanbao completes the analysis, officially unlocking the Silver Light skill and the star map ability. Everything clicks as Yi realizes that elemental skills are just another trait granted by creation. Elements break down into 5 distinct types, each with their own unique, chaotic signature. Scientists spent ages trying to crack the code, but their lab experiments ended in failure. Suddenly, the system pings. Yi's AI has finally decoded the Silver Light's electric configuration. With a massive power-up, he replicates the skill, turning his broken sword into a weapon. Jojo stares in disbelief as Yi mirrors the boss's own signature move right back. Comprehending a high-level skill in the middle of a death match is just pure insanity. Yi plays it cool, telling his buddy it is just luck and elemental compatibility. Deep down, he knows the stat gap is still a mountain he has to climb. This Wolf King lunges, unleashing a terrifying, crackling barrier that traps them in the dark. Impact hits like a freight train, shattering the defensive line and sending debris flying everywhere. Jojo takes the brunt of the hit, his shield crumbling under the immense pressure. Seeing his friend's stats tank by 60%, Yi tells him to shut up and survive. A massive claw slams into the earth, shaking the ground as the predator closes in. Electricity arcs off the beast's fur, turning the forest into a literal high-voltage death trap. Yi stands firm, ordering the injured Jojo to retreat while he draws all aggro. Razor-sharp fangs snap through the air, missing our boy by a literal hair's breadth. Lanbao kicks into overdrive, predicting every single incoming strike with cold, calculated precision. Digital grids overlay the battlefield, showing Yi exactly when and where the death blows land. Calculating the trajectory, he prepares to parry the incoming assault with minimal energy output. He deflects the massive strike with surgical grace, proving that brains beat raw power. Yi forces the incoming energy blades to collide, canceling them out in a flashy display. That massive silver Fang Wolf King lunges again, turning the forest floor into a crater. Trying to blind the beast with dirt proves useless, as the boss ignores such cheap tricks. Digital overlays flash warnings, tracking the lethal trajectory of the boss's incoming light blade attacks. Dodging by a hair, Yi realizes his current strategy is barely keeping him alive today. He dances through the air, narrowly avoiding the razor-sharp energy arc slicing through the trees. Panic sets in as the sheer scale of the boss's power becomes impossible to ignore. Yi lands with surgical precision, his movements fueled by pure adrenaline and desperate, calculated focus. Shifting his stance, he prepares to counterattack, finally deciding it is his turn to strike. This Wolf King snarls, its fangs dripping with elemental fury as it prepares for carnage. Yi launches a counterstrike, mirroring the boss's own energy signature to deflect the incoming blow. Jojo watches in total disbelief, wondering how his friend suddenly gained such insane combat. Sparks fly as the blades clash, creating a shockwave that rattles the entire forest floor. Yi parries the strike, his broken sword holding up against the overwhelming, crackling elemental pressure. Exhaustion hits him hard as the cost of using elemental power drains his stamina fast. Data confirms his recovery speed is lagging behind the boss, making this a losing battle. Desperation forces a tough call. Is it finally time to unleash his most dangerous hidden move? Lightning gathers around the Wolf King, signaling a final devastating attack that defies all logic. Yi commits to the gamble, ordering the system to activate his ultimate demonic power boost. This system pings, confirming the activation as he prepares for one final do-or-die collision. Hell itself locks onto Yi, flooding his mind with agonizing, soul-crushing pressure and dark intent. This system fights back against the invasive corruption, blocking every attempt to hijack his body. Pushed to the absolute limit, Yi triggers a terrifying, high-stakes state of pure demonization. Stats shift wildly as his elemental power spikes, though his other attributes pay the price. Mocking the beast, Yi prepares to crush the Wolf King with its own stolen technique. Energy erupts in a blinding display, turning the forest into a swirling vortex of power. A massive beam of pure destruction tears through the night, obliterating everything in its path. This Wolf King's jaw hangs open, realizing too late that it picked the wrong prey. One final, decisive strike connects, ending the boss's reign of terror in a single blow. Shockwaves ripple across the landscape, leveling the terrain and leaving the forest in complete ruins. Victory notifications flood the screen as Yi's level skyrockets from the massive experience gain. Jojo stares at the devastation, completely baffled by the sheer scale of Yi's power. Trembling, Yi struggles to maintain his composure as the dark energy begins to recede. This system forcibly shuts down the demonization, leaving him reeling from the sudden, violent withdrawal. Grabbing his head, Yi admits that without Lanbao's help, he would have lost his mind. A mysterious, ominous mark appears on his palm, a permanent souvenir from the depths. Shaking off the lingering dread, he warns Jojo that this power is strictly forbidden. Putting on a brave face, he brushes off his exhaustion as simple post-battle fatigue. Checking the time, Yi realizes they are running late and need to move immediately. Leaving the valuable loot behind, they prioritize survival over greed, a rare, sensible decision. Yi stares in shock as his buddy insists on staying behind to handle things. This guy claims his experience dissecting beasts makes him the perfect man for the job. He reminds Yi that boss loot is prime material for crafting some serious gear upgrades. Clearly impressed by Yi's sudden power spike, he offers to process the spoils in peace. Our boy is skeptical, but the promise of delicious wolf meat settles the deal fast. With a quick agreement, they split up while Yi heads back toward the town walls. Darkness cloaks the forest as he realizes the most critical task is still ahead today. Starforge Town looms in the distance, a quiet place hiding some very loud, annoying problems. Back at the base, some thugs are busy harassing the locals for their overdue payments. A feisty little girl stands her ground, shouting that her big brother is coming home. That scar-faced goon waves a contract in her face, demanding cash or immediate eviction now. He points at their expensive energy device, acting like he is doing them a favor. Insulting her brother as trash, the thug mocks the girl while she boils with rage. Suddenly, she snaps and delivers a swift, painful kick right to the guy's shin. Screaming in defiance, she warns the bully that he will regret ever insulting her family. His face twists into a mask of pure malice, clearly ready to snap her neck. Just as things turn violent, a cold voice cuts through the room, stopping the chaos. A gloved hand checks the time, signaling that the deadline for payment has officially passed. Zeki, the B-rank guild leader, sits in the shadows and orders his men to proceed. That high-tech energy device hums with power, ready to be seized by these greedy vultures. His thugs are back, demanding full rent or immediate eviction from the poor family. Zeki and his goons loom over the room, clearly enjoying their little power trip. Little Xiaoxiao tries to stand her ground, but these bullies do not care about the rules. Liuabeng, the retired engineer, finally has enough of their constant, annoying, loud-mouthed racket. Sipping his drink, the old man sighs at these entitled kids lacking basic manners. One thug mocks the old man, claiming he cannot even protect his own skin. Liuabeng remains calm, pulling out a remote and offering them the rent they want. With a click of a button, he triggers something hidden deep within the shop. Massive machinery begins to rumble, shaking the entire building with a sudden, heavy force. Panic hits the thugs as they scramble, thinking a real earthquake is tearing through. A hidden compartment opens up, revealing a high-tech lens tracking the intruders inside. From the ceiling descends a giant robot, shocking everyone with its sudden, imposing presence. This thug laughs nervously, realizing the machine is just hanging there, totally motionless. He mocks the old man, claiming that Genesis deactivated all robots a long time. Another goon sneers, calling the machine a pile of useless scrap metal for dogs. Zeki, however, eyes the tech with greed, deciding he wants it for his collection. Liuabeng explains it is a rare prototype, though its intelligence core is long dead. Offering the machine as payment, the old man hopes to buy them some peace. Xiaoxiao begs him to stop, knowing that robot is his life's work and legacy. Patting her head, Liuabeng stays firm, prioritizing their safety while they wait for Yi. Little Xiaoxiao is absolutely fuming, calling out the goon for his pathetic, scruffy beard. Zeki is not having it, coldly clarifying that the robot alone will not cover their massive debt. Digital readouts confirm the machine's value is trash after factoring in all the processing costs. With the deadline blown, Zeki hits them with a tenfold penalty and doubled future rent. Liuabeng is stunned, pointing out that these insane terms were never part of the original contract. Smirking, the guild leader reminds the old man that the weak have zero rights here. Zeki gives them one day to pay up or face the beasts, pure villainous motivation. Ordering his goons to start looting, he shows exactly how much he respects their property. This thugs start yanking cables, tearing into the machinery like a pack of hungry wolves. Wires snap and sparks fly as the heavy equipment is forced from its mounting point. Liuabeng watches his life's work get dismantled, whispering a heartbreaking apology to his old buddy. One thug complains about the hard labor, eyes lighting up at the sight of components. Xiaoxiao tries to stop the looting, but the thug just shoves the kid aside ruthlessly. Power tripping, the goon tells her to stop sticking her nose in where it does not belong. She hits the floor hard, a nasty scrape on her forehead marking the thug's cruelty. Cables snap under the strain, the last steel supports giving way to the brute force. A blinding flash erupts as the final connection is severed, the system failing in real time. Gravity takes over as the massive robot begins to plummet directly toward the little girl. Liubeng screams in pure terror, realizing his precious legacy is about to crush his granddaughter. Xiaoxiao looks up in total shock, the shadow of the falling machine looming over her. Yi arrives in a blur of speed, his innate talent kicking into overdrive instantly. That massive robot crashes down, narrowly missing the girl in a cloud of debris. Rushing to her side, Yi scoops up Xiaoxiao, his eyes burning with protective, cold rage. Checking her injuries, he apologizes for being late, his voice tight with barely contained fury. Xiaoxiao wipes her tears, blaming herself for failing to guard their home while he fought. Reassuring her that she did enough, Yi tells her to step back and watch him. Those thugs smirk at the sight of him, clearly thinking they have the upper hand. Mocking him as F-rank trash, the goons demand his crystals or threaten even worse violence. Yi stares them down, his gaze so intense it actually makes the lead thug flinch. Panic sets in for the bully, who cannot believe he is intimidated by a kid. Telling Xiaoxiao to stay clear, Yi prepares to teach these vultures a very painful lesson. His system pings, activating universal analysis to scan every single one of these pathetic targets. Data floods his vision, confirming these guys are just low-level nobodies with inflated, fragile egos. Realizing they are just E-rank trash, Yi decides their bullying days are officially over today. Holding out the bag of crystals, he warns them that this time things end. This thug sneers, grabbing the loot while calling him trash, completely oblivious to his doom. Suddenly, Yi strikes, his movement too fast for the goon to even process the threat. A brutal kick connects with the thug's chest, sending him flying across the entire room. Teeth go airborne as the bully realizes too late that he picked the wrong victim. Yi follows through with a second strike, showing these thugs exactly what real power is. Yi lands a clean, brutal strike that sends the thug's face into orbit. This goon hits the floor hard, completely stunned by the sudden, overwhelming speed. Panic ripples through the remaining thugs as they realize their target is no pushover. Yi shuts down their trash talk, warning them to worry about their own survival. Lightning-fast reflexes allow him to dominate the room, dismantling their pathetic, uncoordinated defense. Cold intensity radiates from his eyes, leaving the bullies trembling in pure, unadulterated fear. One thug stammers in disbelief, wondering how an F-rank kid suddenly became this lethal. This boss orders his lackey to stop wasting time and finish the job immediately. Pang Ming steps up, activating his red aura while mocking Yi's supposed lack of strength. A blur of motion erupts, the air whistling as they clash with violent intensity. Yi delivers a crushing kick to the face, silencing the big guy's arrogant posturing. Launching the thug across the room, he demands they take their mess outside immediately. Debris flies as the impact tears through the shop, shaking the very foundation. Xiaoxiao cheers her brother on, her faith in him fueling his resolve to win. Pang Ming wipes blood from his face, his expression shifting from arrogance to malice. Debris scatters as the fight spills into the street, escalating the high-stakes confrontation. Glowing with a menacing red light, Pang Ming prepares to unleash his true power. Yi activates his silver light, analyzing every weakness in his opponent's sloppy, aggressive stance. Settling old grudges, he locks eyes with the villains, ready to end this today. This thug's grin, clutching their stolen loot, completely unaware that their doom is imminent. Yi hits a new achievement, finally breaking free from the chains of his past. Standing tall with his blade, he prepares to face the arrogant bully head-on. Pang Ming glows with red energy, mocking the kid's broken sword like a total amateur. Sensing something off, the villain wonders how Yi's attack sent him flying so easily. Little Xiaoxiao shouts for her brother to just run away, fearing for his safety. Explaining his armor's core skill, Pang Ming boasts about his impenetrable, slow-moving defense. Yi is not playing by the rules, choosing to strike from a distance instead. Blasting forward, he unleashes a wave of silver light directly at the red-armored thug. Pang Ming screams in frustration as his defenses fail to stop the incoming strike. Panic sets in for the bully, realizing his armor is failing to absorb the damage. Yi keeps the pressure high, proving he has way more energy than the thug expected. Waves of blue light crash into the villain, forcing him to take the hit. Parsing the enemy's tech, Yi identifies nuclear elements within the heavy core armor. Realizing his system can analyze and learn any skill, he grins at the opportunity. Tracking the elemental trajectories, Yi turns the fight into a masterclass of data collection. New insights from the nuclear star map give him the edge he desperately needs. Loading the data, he successfully copies the heavy core armor skill for himself. Deactivating his defense, a desperate Pang Ming decides to rush in for a brawl. Yi welcomes the close-quarters combat, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. Compressing his power, he prepares a devastating, armor-piercing blow to end this fight. Yi's sudden, blinding strike leaves the thug absolutely reeling in total shock. Green lightning crackles through the air, signaling that the real fight has finally started. Yi stands firm, ready to end this pathetic, forced confrontation once and for all. Pure electrical energy surges from his blade, crackling with an intensity that demands respect. Zeki watches in disbelief, wondering how this kid is wielding such massive, raw power. Pang Ming tries to stay in the fray, but his boss orders him back. Panic flashes in the villain's eyes as he realizes Yi is moving way too fast. Even with his advanced analysis active, Zeki can only track fragments of the boy's speed. Scanning the target, Yi's system reveals Zeki's stats and his annoying, dangerous intuition skill. Taunting the villain, Yi stares him down, making the B-rank bully sweat under pressure. Liubeng shields his granddaughter, realizing that things are about to get extremely messy here. Dark energy swirls around Yi, though his system struggles to stabilize the volatile output. Vowing to protect his family at any cost, he prepares to face the consequences. Dread creeps into Zeki's mind as he wonders if he is actually outmatched today. Suddenly, the tension breaks as a chaotic furry intruder disrupts their intense standoff. That greedy little dog sprints past, snatching a precious crystal right out of play. Yi shouts in frustration, chasing after the thief while the villains watch in confusion. Scrambling to recover the loot, he lunges for the dog, ignoring the dangerous thugs. Zeki stares at the crystal lying on the ground, completely baffled by this absurdity. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the villain's eyes narrow in pure, focused rage. Xiaoxiao spots Yi arriving, her relief practically radiating off the page like a beacon. Yi is fuming, blaming that chaotic dog for stealing his crystal and delaying his return. Confusion hits the group when they realize the precious loot has completely vanished from sight. Zeki stands there holding the red crystal, looking like he just won the lottery jackpot. Silence hangs heavy as the tension between the two parties reaches a breaking point. Zeki demands to know the origin of the crystal, his greed clearly overriding his common sense. Yi explains the crystal was dropped while urging the villain to return his hard-earned property. Explaining the boss fight, Yi reveals the crystal came from a deadly silver fang wolf. Zeki is stunned, struggling to believe two nobodies actually soloed a boss in the wild. Calculating the risks, the villain decides that fighting Yi might jeopardize his own secret agenda. Yi is handed a contract, shocked to hear he is being spared from certain death. Zeki uses the crystal to settle the rent, effectively binding them with a magic contract. Ordering his goons to retreat, Zeki decides to cut his losses and walk away today. Liubeng stares at his dismantled robot, wondering how they are supposed to move that junk. Yi examines the fine print, suspicious of why the villain suddenly turned so incredibly generous. Xiaoxiao yells at the retreating thugs, calling the big guy a gorilla with zero shame. Zeki glares back at the brat, clearly annoyed but sticking to his tactical retreat plan. Vowing to settle the score later, the villain turns his back on his intended victims. Yi breathes a sigh of relief, glad he did not have to unleash his volatile powers. Xiaoxiao runs to her brother, wide-eyed and wondering when he became such a total powerhouse. Yi scratches his head, wondering if his recent survival was just pure dumb luck. Jojo dumps a pile of monster parts, prioritizing the meat over the actual loot. Holding up a massive fang, he declares it the ultimate prize from the Wolf King. Yi eyes the conductive material, realizing it's the perfect upgrade for his signature silver light. Staring into the distance, he admits that Zeki's strength makes his own power feel pathetic. Determined to protect his family, he focuses on getting stronger before the next big threat. Liubeng inspects the hall, nodding in approval at the quality of the scavenged monster materials. Noticing the change in Yi's demeanor, the old man senses a deeper, more dangerous journey. Admitting that things got surreal, Yi prepares to open up about his recent wild experiences. Shock registers on his face when Liubeng mentions he has already encountered the mysterious land. Sensing the gravity of the situation, Liubeng insists they need to have a serious talk. Embers dance in the background, setting the scene for a much-needed high-stakes backyard barbecue session. Sizzling steaks hit the grill, filling the air with the scent of premium monster meat. Jojo dons a chef's hat, acting like a pro while serving up the feast. Everyone gathers around the grill, with Xiaoxiao and the dog fighting for their fair share. Munching on the delicious meat, Xiaoxiao starts feeling drowsy from the intense magical energy boost. Yi checks his system, confirming that overeating this beast meat triggers a forced sleep status. Sipping a drink, Liubeng enjoys the rare moment of peace amidst their chaotic, dangerous lives. Savoring the flavor, the old man acknowledges that taking down such a beast was legendary. Yi reflects on his narrow victory, knowing that his stolen power is now being tracked. Critical data on Lanbao is locked tight, leaving Yi staring at a digital wall. Yi presses his grandfather for answers, still struggling to grasp his own mysterious system's potential. While the crew enjoys a post-battle feast, Yi wonders how to actually master his power. Serious talk hits the table as Yi asks if the world can ever be restored. Liubeng brushes off the naive hope, noting that history's gears do not just grind to a halt. Reassuring the kid, Liubeng reminds him that some things, like their bond, manage to survive. Nostalgia kicks in as the old man reflects on 20 years with his robotic companion. Machines once just followed orders, but this one actually developed a heart, the ultimate software upgrade. Even after the world-shattering event, Liubeng insists the machine's true consciousness has not fully vanished. Deep down, he believes that Spark will return, perhaps in a completely different, unexpected form. Turning his focus to Yi, Liubeng tells him to trust his own path and destiny. Yi's system glitches, desperately trying to parse human emotion but failing every single time. Classic robot. Liubeng notes that Yi's stubborn streak is identical to his old machine's learning process. Digging for clues, Yi asks about a world fragment, but the old man draws a blank. A hidden notebook in the old house might hold the truth, and the time is now. Yi takes the hint, realizing the answers he needs are waiting back at home. Determination hardens in his eyes as he plans a visit to his parents' final resting place. Night falls over the quiet neighborhood, casting long shadows as the day finally draws to close. Morning light breaks over the same rooftops, signaling a fresh start for our determined hero. Yi starts his brutal training, pushing his limits with heavy weights, no pain, no gain here. Yi grinds through his morning routine, hitting those brutal physical milestones like a total machine. Leveling up is getting harder, and he knows the grind ahead will be much slower. Crunching the numbers, he decides that pumping his elemental power is the only smart move. Heading to the market, he plans to stock up before trekking through the mist forest. Picking up some honey cakes for Xiaoxiao, he keeps his priorities straight despite the danger. Uncle Lee spots him, wondering if he's been tangling with any nasty beasts lately. Peddling some questionable charms, the merchant tries to sell him on monster-repelling junk. Chaos erupts suddenly as a thief bolts through the crowd, sparking a frantic chase. Cloaked and agile, the intruder weaves through the market, leaving everyone in total disarray. Yi clocks that insane speed, realizing he's dealing with an actual awakened individual. Auntie Allen screams about her stolen goods, terrified she will not make rent this month. Jumping into action, Yi sprints after the thief to save the day. Clutching the stolen loot, the hooded runner thinks they've already shaken off the pursuers. Yi closes the gap, demanding the thief return the stolen property right now. Smirking, the thief reveals a high-tech gadget, clearly confident in their escape skills. Launching a grappling hook, the thief zips away, leaving the market in a wreck. Staring at the mess, Yi realizes he's been completely outplayed by pro. Dust settles as the crowd looks on, confused by the sudden, violent departure. Peering from under the debris, Yi curses the thief's quick, clean getaway. Activating his analysis, he pushes his system to the limit to track the target. Yi's system pings with a new command, locking onto a signal in the urban sprawl. Scanning the rooftops, the grid highlights a high-speed target moving through the city sector. A mysterious hooded runner dashes across the skyline, clearly trying to avoid any unwanted attention. Munching on a snack, the thief complains about the loot being locked by ownership marks. Checking the map, the hooded stranger realizes they are almost at their secret drop-off point. Deciding it is time to descend, the thief prepares to jump down into the alley. Yi tracks the movement from below, his system confirming the target is finally within range. Closing the distance, our boy sprints forward to intercept the runner before they vanish again. Leaping into the air, Yi shouts that he has finally caught up to the thief. Shocked to see him, the hooded runner stares back with wide, panicked eyes at the pursuit. Determined to end this, Yi vows that there is nowhere left for the thief to run. This runner tries to use a high-tech grappling hook to swing away from the confrontation. Reacting instantly, Yi uses his own gear to snag the line and ruin the escape. Taunting the runner, he demands they return the stolen goods and apologize to the victim. Chaos erupts as the grappling hook malfunctions, sending the thief spiraling out of control midair. Panic sets in for the runner, who realizes they are about to crash into the pavement. Yi watches in disbelief, wondering how the situation spiraled into such a messy public disaster. Rushing to intervene, he catches the falling thief, only to realize his target is a girl. She screams as they tumble toward the ground, the heist turning into an awkward collision. Pinned down, the girl demands to know why he is still holding her so tightly. This mysterious thief pins Yi down, demanding a hug like it's a totally normal interaction. Yi stares in disbelief, wondering how this girl is playing the victim after stealing everything. She tries to cut and run, but Yi drags her back, demanding a public apology. Panic flashes across her face as she realizes she's completely trapped by our boy. Yi freezes mid-confrontation, his eyes widening as he notices something seriously wrong with her neck. His system pings a warning, identifying a nasty, creeping beast toxin spreading through her veins. Pointing at the mark, Yi demands she hand over the goods while questioning that lethal infection. He explains the danger of the incubation period, warning her that death is basically knocking. Tears well up in her eyes, admitting she has 0 crystals for the expensive medical treatment. Desperation drips from her voice as she explains that survival is a daily losing battle. Even a simple loaf of bread is out of reach, making her situation look grim. She laments her failed dreams of joining a team, rejected for having pathetic attack power. Yi's system confirms she is telling the truth, leaving him feeling like a total jerk. Analyzing her stats, he sees an assassin with no combat potential, just a sad, starving girl. She tells him to just arrest her, clearly having given up on any better future. Yi softens, relating to the brutal struggle of being an F rank in this unforgiving world. He hands over some crystals for her treatment, making her promise to stop the thieving. Suddenly, some random goons show up looking for Yi, completely ruining the tense, emotional moment. Yi shouts that he is here while the thief prepares to zip away into safety. Telling her to scram, Yi watches her go, hoping she actually survives this mess now. Yi is baffled by how fast that thief vanished, like a rabbit on espresso. Stumbling upon a merchant, he finds the guy peddling a weirdly sentient, ugly doll. Meanwhile, a local beekeeper thanks Yi for delivering the final batch of honey cakes. Hearing Zeki's name again, Yi feels the plot tightening around him like a noose. High above the streets, the mysterious thief watches the market from a hidden perch. Smirking, she realizes she successfully swiped the intel while leaving Yi with nothing. Her system pings as the disguise drops, clearing away the nasty lingering poison status. Yi's target is revealed as Black Crow, an assassin with speed that defies logic. She wonders how Yi tracked her, suspecting he's hiding some high-level detection ability. Suddenly, a digital call cuts through the air and she knows it's the boss. Static crackles as the mysterious superior demands a status report on the ongoing mission. Black Crow reports she is inside the Split Bear Guild's territory, searching for clues. Peering through a telescope, she watches Zeki inspect the latest shipment of suspicious goods. Disappointment hits when she confirms the crates are just filled with mundane honey cakes. She notes that these sweets are constantly being hauled deep into the misty forest. Something big is definitely going down, and the guild is clearly hiding a secret. Her boss barks a warning, reminding her that failure is not an option here. Gritting her teeth, Black Crow acknowledges the order with a look of pure determination. Back on the street, Yi walks away with free cakes, still questioning the guild's motives. Clutching the ugly doll, he wonders if this creepy trinket is actually worth anything. Yi stands before the door, hoping his little gift will win over the crew. Bursting inside, he announces his return while clutching the honey cakes like a prize. Xiaoxiao immediately goes full drama mode, demanding to know why she was left behind. Juju joins the protest, insisting their partnership means nobody goes into the forest alone. Trying to play it cool, Yi offers the cakes to distract them from his plans. He claims he knows a safe trail, but the squad is not buying his solo act. Resistance is futile against their combined guilt trip, so Yi finally caves to the pressure. Meanwhile, the old man is busy grinding away at his workshop, sparks flying everywhere. He explains that top-tier gear takes serious time, especially when the materials are this tough. Tossing a heavy hammer to Yi, he insists the kid needs better protection for travel. Yi grips the handle, feeling the weight of years of shared repairs in his hands. Checking the stats, he realizes this is not just a tool, it's a reinforced, heavy-hitting weapon. This old man drops a cryptic final request, telling Yi to greet them for him. Juju confirms they're packed, leaving the dog to guard the fort back home. Yi just smiles, realizing he's officially outnumbered by his own loyal, stubborn little team. With the group assembled, they finally head out into the unknown, ready for the trek. This map highlights their dangerous route, cutting straight through the heart of the wilderness. Zooming in on the target, the destination looms ahead like a giant, glowing red beacon. Rain begins to lash down over the misty forest, setting a dark, ominous mood. Somewhere in the downpour, a massive white wolf emerges, ready to hunt the intruders. A vicious, toothy beast lunges from the shadows, ready to tear into our unsuspecting heroes. Teeth bared and eyes glowing, this monster is clearly not interested in a friendly chat. Yi and his crew trek deep into the misty forest, hunting for those legendary ruins. Choosing the path less traveled, they aim for the safest route to reach their goal. Nature fights back with tangled brush, but the team pushes through without any major drama. Reaching their destination, Yi levels up just in time to face whatever horrors await them. Staring at the crumbling stone, they finally lay eyes on the mysterious ancient city ruins. Scattered debris marks the spot where the creator once unleashed absolute chaos upon the world. Walking through the wreckage, Yi spots his old soccer field, now just a sad memory. Nostalgia hits hard, but there is no turning back the clock in this broken land. Spotting a rusted fountain, Yi triggers a system ping, snagging some easy experience points. Memories of a childhood rescue surface, reminding him that Lan Bao was his original savior. Floating nearby, the system companion promises to wake Lan Bao from its long, silent slumber. Xiaoxiao wants in on the history, eager to share the bond between the brothers. Trying to grasp human emotion, the system struggles, but Yi offers a warm, patient smile. Discussing the creator's destructive past, the group wonders how Lan Bao survived that total purge. Access is denied when they dig too deep, shielding the truth about Lan Bao's origins. Realizing Lan Bao shares a system with the creator, Juju is absolutely floored by shock. Yi feels the weight of destiny, believing this mission is the key to changing everything. Admitting his own aimless path, Juju watches Yi with a mix of envy and respect. Yi reflects on his past, forced into a business life he never actually wanted. Juju admits that shielding his friends gives him a sense of purpose and belonging. Bonding over their shared mission, the group vows to protect each other at all costs. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as a dense, unnatural fog rolls into their path, creepy stuff. Visibility drops to 0, leaving the team stranded in the middle of the wilderness. Juju barks orders, pulling Xiaoxiao close while sensing something sinister lurking in the thick mist. Yi activates his system, relying on his omniscient analysis to pierce through the blinding haze. Glowing grids appear, revealing they are being surrounded by a pack of hidden enemies. Scanning the threats, the system identifies a group of aggressive, low-level hunter fishmen nearby. Chaos breaks out as the fishmen emerge from the water, trident-wielding and ready to rumble. Panic spikes for Yi, who immediately screams for Juju to keep the kid safe. Stepping up, Juju plants his shield firmly, determined to hold the line against them. Yi tracks the 6 targets, realizing his analysis is the only thing keeping them alive. A sudden strike catches Yi off guard, forcing him to dodge in a frantic blur. Blood trickles from his shoulder, leaving him baffled by how they attacked without warning. Another projectile whizzes past, forcing him to leap away before the next hit lands. Terrified, his friends shout out, desperate to know if he is still in one piece. Shrugging off the pain, Yi insists it is just a scratch while bracing for more. Frustration mounts as he fails to spot any trajectory, questioning if this is a skill. Charging forward, he activates his power to force a direct confrontation and end this mystery. A Fishman lunges with a trident, looking like he skipped his morning coffee. Yi reacts with a flash of blue energy, barely dodging the sudden, aggressive strike. Confusion hits as the target dissolves into thin air, classic bait-and-switch tactics. Our boy executes a swift head jab, trying to land a hit on the Phantom. Sparks fly as his attack connects with something invisible, revealing a hidden, shimmering barrier. Realization dawns on Yi. He's been walking right into a carefully laid trap. High above, the guild's emblem looms, signaling that the bait worked perfectly. Crates of supplies sit abandoned, while rumors of a terrifying monster keep everyone away. Two goons chat about the guild's staffing issues, oblivious to the chaos unfolding nearby. One brute barks at the newbie to hurry up, completely unaware of the infiltrator. Yi uses his system to swap his appearance, blending in like a total pro. Stalking toward the boss's room, he prepares to uncover every dirty secret they're hiding. Inside the office, the guild leader sits alone, brooding over a glowing red crystal. Zi clutches a mysterious orb, muttering about how the time for vengeance arrives. A pocket watch reveals a portrait of a man, sparking memories of past betrayals. Zi monologues to the photo, blaming the man for stealing his path to power. Pure rage fills his eyes as he vows to tear his enemy apart. A lackey bursts in with bad news, sweating bullets about a missing key player. Zi demands the voice message, his patience wearing thin as the drama escalates. This recording plays, revealing the missing guy is busy with birthday plans, priorities, right. This guild leader tries to delay the mission, claiming his social calendar is too packed. Zhang Tianyu snaps, smashing the furniture in a fit of pure, unadulterated workplace rage. He screams about the guy's incompetence, despite needing that star piercer for the big plan. Desperate to keep the team together, the lackey begs them not to scrap the operation. Holding the volatile magic crystal, he warns that one wrong move levels the whole building. Seeing the intermediate-grade crystal, the leader's eyes light up with a greedy, dangerous new spark. He decides he does not need the dead weight anymore, grabbing the crystal for himself instead. With the plan back on track, the lackey just nods, terrified of his boss's mood. They shift gears, needing to hunt down a specific target before the real chaos starts. Underwater, a vicious Fishman lunges toward the surface, teeth bared and ready for the kill. Yi stands his ground on the rock, hammer ready as the beast emerges from water. Watching the Phantom form instantly, he realizes these enemies are faster than they look. Smirking, Yi claims he has already cracked the secret to their annoying little combat trick. He raises his hammer, channeling the electric silver light to fry those pesky cloud-type skills. Lightning crackles around him as he prepares to deliver a massive high-voltage wake-up call. A blinding surge of electricity slams into the water, turning the tide in seconds. This shockwave ripples through the mist, forcing the hidden attackers to reveal their true forms. Caught in the current, the Fishmen scramble, their invisibility failing under the intense electrical discharge. Panic sets in as they realize their stealth advantage is officially dead in the water. Yi's allies watch in awe, realizing the enemies are finally exposed and totally defenseless now. These fishmen are scrambling like they just realized they're fighting a literal lightning rod. Yi is not letting them off the hook, mocking their pathetic attempt to flee the scene. He slams his hammer down, channeling pure electric fury to fry the remaining aquatic pests. Another fishman goes down and the system dings with that sweet, sweet experience point payout. More enemies swarm in, but Yi is locked in, eyes scanning for the next opening. His system is working overtime, analyzing the Phantom's movement to crack the code of invisibility. Timing is everything, and he lands a perfect strike just as the enemy tries shifting. That hammer impact creates a massive shockwave, and he's already learning how to weaponize it. Turns out, this new skill is a total game changer for stealth and tactical confusion. Remembering his crew, Yi realizes Juju is probably struggling with the remaining invisible threats. His eyes narrow, focusing on the chaos as he prepares to rush back to them. Yi vaults over the water, closing the distance with the speed of a desperate man. Ranged attacks are raining down now, proving these monsters are actually smarter than they look. Activating his new Phantom skill, he creates a decoy to bait the Fishman into attacking. One monster lunges, thinking it's got an easy kill, but it's walking into a trap. Juju is holding the line with his shield, taking a beating but refusing to budge. He's getting tired of the endless assault, hoping Yi shows up before the shield breaks. Xiaoxiao is ready to throw hands, cheering them on while trying to stay brave. Something massive lurks beneath the surface, watching the group with hungry, predatory intent. A final vicious Fishman leaps from the water, aiming straight for the unsuspecting Xiaoxiao. That little bag charm is shaking like it's seen a ghost or maybe just coffee. A Fishman leaps out of the mist, looking to turn our heroes into sushi. Xiaoxiao is caught completely off guard, eyes wide as the ambush hits the fan. Yi and Juju snap into action, realizing the situation just went from zero to lethal. One of those trident-wielding pests lands, looking ready to cause some serious, uncalled-for trouble. Yi is not having it, absolutely livid that these things dared to threaten little Xiaoxiao. With a death wish granted, he swings his hammer, ready to crush the aquatic menace. That strike connects with a satisfying splash, sending the Fishman straight to the afterlife. Yi realizes that weird shopkeeper's item actually works, and he just leveled up again. Juju follows up, slamming his own target down while the system confirms the kill. With the immediate threat neutralized, the guys realize the rest of the pack vanished. Juju is hyped, finally breaking through to D rank while his stats get a boost. Yi offers a quick congrats, though he's clearly not trying to get left behind. This fog finally lifts, revealing the ruins as they decide to scavenge the loot. Juju gets greedy, hoping they can find some rare treasure among the wreckage. He explains the value of Fishman tears, basically the crypto of this broken world. Yi is skeptical since those drops are rarer than a decent boss fight reward. Xiaoxiao wanders over to the fallen beast, poking at the remains with a stick. Suddenly, she finds a glowing orb, proving that luck is definitely on her side. Both guys stare in disbelief, realizing they just hit the jackpot with 2 drops. Xiaoxiao pulls out 2 glowing orbs, basically the ultimate loot drop for this party. Deep in the wilderness, the group finally reaches a quiet, overgrown path near ruins. Yi leads the way through the trees, feeling the weight of his history nearby. Staring at the landscape, he notes how little this place has changed over the years. Suddenly, his system pings with non-stop alerts about a world fragment hidden in the area. He confirms the location, spotting a secluded house tucked away in the dense forest greenery. While the fragment is tempting, Yi prioritizes a much more personal mission at this moment. They arrive at a memorial stone marking the resting place of his parents Luo Hengyu. Yi approaches the site with flowers, finally reconnecting with his past after all this time. Speaking to the stone, he shares how much he has learned about their hidden secrets. He introduces his companions, Juju and little Xiaoxiao, to the silent, solemn memorial site. Encouraging the kid to participate, Yi asks Xiaoxiao to greet his parents with respect. Xiaoxiao steps forward, pulling out her own treasures to offer as a heartfelt gift. Digging through her bag, she gathers her favorite trinkets to share with the departed. Placing the items down, she hopes they appreciate her offering as much as she does. Tears welling up, she expresses her gratitude for finding a family in Yi and Grandpa. Juju watches the emotional scene, but he has a burning question about their family history. Pointing out the timeline, he asks how Xiaoxiao fits in if his parents passed away. Yi drops the bombshell. Xiaoxiao is actually a survivor of the brutal intelligent destruction event. Juju finally connects the dots, realizing the origin of her unique look is no mystery. Yi recalls the day the world went dark when all AI systems suddenly glitched out. Panic gripped the city as everyone fled, leaving the most vulnerable behind in the dust. Deep in those ruins, Grandpa and Yi stumbled upon a tiny, abandoned survivor named Xiaoxiao. Juju finally gets the full story, confirming that she was indeed an adopted family member. Despite being loved, she constantly tries to earn her keep. Poor kid has abandonment issues. Suddenly, the system pings like crazy, detecting a massive world fragment hidden right nearby. Yi tracks the energy signature to a secluded house, pinpointing the exact coordinates for entry. Leaving Juju to watch over Xiaoxiao, he heads inside to uncover what was left behind. This interior looks like a time capsule, untouched and eerie in its perfect, preserved state. Walking through the halls, Yi notes how the house feels exactly as he remembers it. He finds a bookshelf that mirrors Xiaoxiao's habits, a weirdly nostalgic trip down memory lane. A mysterious box sits waiting, and he can't help but wonder what secrets it holds. Opening it reveals Lan Bao's diary, the ultimate target for his ongoing digital investigation. Memories flood back of Lan Bao, documenting every single day spent raising him as a child. He logs into the diary, but the system hits him with an immediate access denial. Shock hits him as the data forces its way through, eyes wide at the display. Digital projections materialize in the room, showing his younger self and Lan Bao in action. It's a total time travel vibe, watching his own infancy play out through a robot's eyes. Lan Bao struggles with basic human expressions, trying to mimic a smile like a total rookie. Yi laughs, realizing his bot buddy had to learn how to feel from scratch wholesome. This system registers a massive shift, recording pure joy as a new fragment node emerges. Yi stares in total shock, realizing he has finally stumbled upon a genuine world fragment. Digital logs flash through his mind, replaying memories of Lan Bao learning basic human emotions. Anger and fear flicker across the screen, showing how his robot guardian protected him fiercely. Every recorded feeling, pride, anxiety, delight starts flooding into the fragment, creating a complex emotional data archive. Yi decides to use his system to analyze the node, hoping to crack its hidden secrets. Warnings scream as the analysis triggers a dangerous, unstoppable reaction from the local rule force. Progress bars climb rapidly, but the system is clearly struggling to process such intense data. Space begins to warp and collapse around him, leaving our boy with absolutely nowhere to run. Entropy reduction kicks in, turning the environment into a chaotic, high-stakes digital nightmare for Yi. Panic sets in as he screams, wondering if this is actually the end of the line. Outside the house, a massive beam of light erupts, signaling that things are going sideways. Juju watches the house tremble, shouting for Yi while little Xiaoxiao looks on in terror. Inside, the energy surge reaches a breaking point, threatening to tear Yi's system apart completely. Suddenly, the information core library activates on its own, rushing to shield him from harm. Glowing lines of code weave a protective barrier, absorbing the lethal intensity of the rule force. Yi gasps as the crushing pain vanishes, realizing he has been given a second chance. Looking at the shimmering light, he knows Lan Bao is still watching over him from beyond. System notifications ping with success, confirming the upgrade is complete and his comprehension is maxed. Omniscient analysis levels up and Yi stands ready, holding the fully decoded fragment in his hands. Yi snaps back to reality, his system confirming a massive experience boost and level up. This world fragment dissolves into nothingness, pulling him back from that intense digital void. Lan Bao expresses a weirdly human annoyance at its own designation, demanding a better name. Our boy smirks, knowing exactly what to call his robotic partner after all this time. Juju and Xiaoxiao crowd around, clearly freaked out that Yi just went totally catatonic. Blinking in confusion, Yi wonders how his crew managed to track him inside the house. They explain the massive energy spike tipped them off, but he just shrugs it off. Juju stares, struggling to process that his friend just underwent a major, unexplained power shift. Yi is too hyped to care, desperate to see what his upgraded system can do. Lan Bao takes the initiative, popping the interface open before Yi even asks for it. He grins, telling the bot that its original name is still the best fit. This system registers pure joy, confirming Lan Bao is officially back and feeling the love. Standing in the dusty ruins, the trio looks like a mismatched squad in a library. Lan Bao keeps flashing those happy status updates, clearly obsessed with its new old name. Yi acknowledges this is just the beginning of their journey, feeling more confident than ever. Scanning the interface, he realizes there are 7 more fragments waiting to be hunted down. Lan Bao reassures him that these fragments are basically magnets destined to find each other. Juju calls him out for zoning out again, completely oblivious to the digital drama unfolding. Yi casually drops the news about his D1 rank, acting like it's no big deal. Both Juju and Xiaoxiao look absolutely floored, realizing their leader is leveling up way fast. Yi brushes off his recent power spike as pure luck, aiming to get stronger fast. Juju feels the sting of being left behind, his dejected mood pinging the system's sensors. Panic sets in for Yi, wondering if his rapid leveling is actually discouraging his friend. Suddenly, a holographic phone call interrupts the awkward silence, making them both jump in surprise. Lin Xiang pops up on screen, demanding to know exactly where the duo is hiding. Juju quickly reports their location in the forest, while Yi waves to their team captain. Lin Xiang orders them to regroup at Ring Star City, showing off her new, lethal-looking squad. Yi hesitates, explaining he needs to drop Xiaoxiao off at home before meeting up later. Lin Xiang agrees, but she ruthlessly tells Juju to stop whining and get moving immediately. She refuses to let him slack off, promising to send him to a nearby party. This mission is way too lucrative to miss, so she's not taking any excuses today. Juju accepts his fate with a heavy sigh while Yi prepares to head out alone. They lament the lack of communication gear, forced to rely on old-school meeting plans now. Yi waves goodbye to his buddy, already stressing about the cost of high-end storage rings. Turning to the kid, he asks if she has enough energy to keep walking home. Xiaoxiao puts on a brave face, but the system flags her as physically unwell again. Yi freezes, his protective instincts kicking into overdrive as he realizes something is definitely wrong. He kneels down to inspect her, ignoring her insistence that she is perfectly fine. Lifting her pant leg, he finds a nasty thorn injury she's been hiding all day. Heartbroken, he realizes she stayed quiet just to avoid being a burden on his journey. Yi insists on carrying Xiaoxiao, but the kid is dead set on walking herself. He plays it cool, claiming this trek is just another part of her training. Calling her his most important little sister, he melts her heart with zero effort. With a quick check to ensure she is secure, he prepares to head home. They zip off through the woods, leaving the forest behind in a blur of speed. Darkness falls over the quiet town, but the atmosphere inside the base is tense. Some impatient goons are loitering around, clearly bored out of their minds while waiting. Their leader sits there looking smug, probably plotting something annoying, for our main guy Grandpa is busy tinkering with tech, while the muscle-bound idiots demand to know everything. One loudmouth loses his cool, screaming at the old man for a straight answer. Unbothered, Grandpa tells them to shove off if they can't handle the long wait. These guys are throwing a tantrum, acting like their precious time is actually valuable. Suddenly, the mood shifts as Yi walks in and the goons instantly start groveling. He demands to know why these random weirdos are loitering inside his private home. Ziqi steps up with a fake smile, swearing he is not looking for trouble. Flashing a pile of crystals, he tries to bribe Yi into joining their mission. He admits they need someone with elemental damage to take down a boss beast. Lan Bao scans the guy, confirming his emotions are steady enough to be honest. Grandpa gives a subtle nod, signaling that the deal might actually be worth taking. This contract is laid out, promising enough loot to cover rent for years. Sweet. Ziqi corners Yi, clearly desperate for some heavy-hitting elemental firepower to clear his path. He drops the name of the target, the Forest Calamity, Bloodclaw, a total nightmare beast. Yi's eyes widen, knowing that monster has a body count that would make anyone sweat. Tales of beer anchors getting absolutely wrecked by this thing are common knowledge in these parts. It's a literal death sentence, a calamity that does not just kill, it erases entire parties. Ziqi plays it cool, offering a choice while his goons loom like bad news. Threats follow immediately, making it clear that saying no is not exactly a healthy career move. Lan Bao detects the guy's killing intent, confirming that the carrot comes with a blade. Yi knows he's outgunned, but he is not about to let this guy push him around. Negotiating becomes the only play, so he decides to squeeze Ziqi for every cent. Storage rings and a permanent contract are on the table, showing some serious business guts. Ziqi's lackey loses his mind, but the boss just stares, calculating the true cost. Greed wins out and Zichi agrees to the terms, eyes locked on the prize. A final warning rings out: if Yi fails, he's not coming back from that forest alive. Meeting time is set for tomorrow at 8 and Zichi hates being kept waiting. This goons finally clear out, leaving Yi to process the absolute insanity of this deal. Survival is the goal and he figures he can bail if things go south fast. Weapons are the missing piece and he really needs something sharper than his current gear. Grandpa interrupts his brooding, holding out a mysterious, wrapped object like a secret weapon drop. Turns out the old man was busy crafting and he's ready to arm our boy. Grandpa hands over a custom-forged weapon, clearly proud of his high-tech craftsmanship. Yi takes the blade, getting a quick warning to watch his fingers. That silver-hued sword looks lethal, packing status effects that make any enemy sweat. Our boy grins, finally feeling equipped to handle whatever the wasteland throws next. Meanwhile, the mercenary crew waits at the rendezvous, pacing around their heavy trucks. Pang Ming checks his pocket watch, annoyed that their new recruit is late. Zichi fumes about the missing advance team, clearly losing his legendary patience. Tensions rise as the muscle-bound lackey questions if the kid actually bilaid on them. Wang Hui sits on a crate, mocking the idea that they need help. He flexes his C-rank stats, acting like he's the main character of this operation. Bai Lily shuts him down, calling out his insufferable ego with zero hesitation. She reminds the squad that Zichi's judgment is law, so pipe down. Arguments erupt until someone spots Yi approaching in the distance, looking totally unbothered. Zichi narrows his eyes, ready to see if his investment actually pays. Yi jogs in, having just finished his insane daily workout routine like a boss. Pang Ming immediately starts barking, demanding to know why the kid is tardy. Yi checks the time, coldly stating he's exactly on schedule, zero apologies given. He calls out Zichi, pointing out that morning training was not against rules. Wang Hui steps up, sneering at Yi's appearance and questioning his combat strength. That arrogant archer tries to snatch the loot, but Lan Bao is already hating. Yi shuts down the banter, completely unimpressed by the posturing of his new mercenary teammates. He warns the squad to watch their own backs since survival is clearly not guaranteed. Pang Ming throws a tantrum about his ego, but nobody is buying his tough guy act. Scanning the group, Yi notes their setup, surprised they actually brought a rare support healer. Bai Lily eyes him with suspicion while Lan Bao detects her underlying wariness of him. Zichi cuts the chatter, announcing that all their preparations for the mission are complete. He looks intense, claiming they have spent 3 long years waiting for this specific battle. Rallying the troops, he reminds everyone that the Grizzly Bear Guild exists only to kill. This squad erupts into a synchronized chant, acting like a cult obsessed with their target. Yi watches the display, internally cringing at the sheer absurdity of their corporate-style team culture. Zichi gives the order to move out, finally kicking off this high-stakes subjugation mission. This portal flickers and vanishes, signaling that their simulation state has finally come to an end. A mysterious observer watches from the shadows, finding the presence of the kid quite amusing. Suddenly, the main force gets ambushed by a pack of monsters deep in the woods. Chaos breaks out as mimic apes and fang wolves swarm them, ruining their peaceful march. Pang Ming slams his shield down, struggling to hold the line against the relentless beasts. This team scrambles to defend themselves while the monsters cackle with a creepy, human-like glee. A bolt of lightning strikes from nowhere, frying a monster before anyone can react. Wang Hui claims the kill with a smirk, mocking the tank for needing his help. Yi rolls his eyes, watching the support healer waste precious energy on these minor pests. Yi surveys the motley crew, counting ranks like he's checking off a grocery list. Coordination is decent, he admits, despite the usual suspects flexing their fragile little egos. Snatching up the cure skill, he adds it to his collection, a handy new trick. Constellations light up his internal map, revealing how his elemental skills actually lock together. 2 locked skills stare back at him, relics from that fusion mess he barely survived. Swapping skills costs a fortune in energy, making mid-battle adjustments a total luxury move. He ditches the heavy armor for lightning arrows, keeping his setup lean and mean. Zichi is a closed book, and Lan Bao keeps flagging his suspicious, guarded vibes. Pang Ming starts barking orders, annoyed that Yi is not playing soldier with the rest. Yi shuts him down cold, reminding the tank he's only here for the main boss. Zichi steps in to stop the bickering, laser-focused on their upcoming bait trap. Watching the boss, Yi realizes this is not just business, it's a deep, personal vendetta. He tries to dig for intel, asking why they're really hunting this blood claw. That question hits a nerve, with Zichi snarling that the beast simply deserves death. Shutting down the interrogation, the boss warns him to stop probing and stay focused. Suddenly, screams for help shatter the silence, throwing the entire squad into a panic. Explosions of light rip through the brush, forcing everyone to scatter in total chaos. Yi dives into the foliage, watching the carnage unfold from his hidden leafy vantage. Eyes wide, he catches a glimpse of something truly massive lurking in the shadows. A lightning-charged bear crashes the party, leaving the survivors begging for a miracle exit. Yi watches from the brush as the massive blood claw mauls a helpless adventuring party. Zichi is clearly annoyed, complaining that these randoms ruin their perfect, calculated ambush timing. He orders his crew to hold their positions, waiting for the beast to drop defenses. Yi can't believe the cold-blooded apathy, demanding to know why they are not saving those people. Zichi scoffs at the idea, prioritizing the hunt over the lives of 2 total strangers. His goons start placing bets on the victim's survival time, proving they are absolute human trash. Disgusted by their hollow morality, Yi realizes these mercenaries are beyond any hope of redemption. He decides he cannot just watch innocents die, even if it means blowing their cover. Scanning the area, he notes the traps are too far for his blade to reach. Lanbao suggests using a nearby vine, pointing out its potential for a long-range play. Yi realizes most projectiles can trigger his lightning skill, turning the vine into a weapon. He readies the vine, catching the attention of the confused mercenaries lurking right behind him. Channeling his lightning element, he prepares to launch a high-speed strike with massive power output. With a sharp command, he fires the electrified vine like a bolt of pure energy. Zichi loses his mind, realizing the kid just sabotaged their entire carefully planned trap. Lightning slams into the blood claw, but Yi wonders if it will actually do anything. This beast roars in shock, shaking off the hit while the party stares in disbelief. Glowing red eyes lock onto the source of the attack, signaling a very bad time. Yi crouches, realizing his best shot barely scratched the monster's absurdly thick natural defensive hide. Zichi screams at him, furious that his big plan just went up in smoke. Zichi snaps, blade inches from Yi's throat for acting without his royal permission. Yi fires back, refusing to let innocent people die just to satisfy their ego. That massive blood claw bear charges the group, making their petty bickering look suicidal. Zichi threatens to settle the score later, clearly prioritizing the hunt over survival. Orders fly as the team scrambles to execute their plan despite the chaos unfolding. Everything goes sideways instantly, the barriers fail, and the traps are basically just decorative toothpicks. Panic sets in, with the team desperately deploying a restraining net against the beast. Yi analyzes the monster's stats, realizing this thing is a specialized nightmare of pure power. Data scrolls across his vision, confirming the blood claw is a C-rank absolute tank. This net lands, but the bear barely notices, treating it like a minor fashion accessory. Desperation hits a peak as the net snaps, forcing the team to call for retreat. Debris flies everywhere when the blood claw slams into the ground, crushing their formation. Mercenaries go airborne, proving that even their best gear is basically paper against this monster. Bai Lily screams for Pang Ming to tank while she tries to patch the survivors. That beast looms over them, ready to finish the job with one massive lethal swipe. Pang Ming braces himself, hiding behind his shield like his life depends on it. Activating his heavy core ram, he taunts the bear, trying to draw its lethal attention. Impact rocks the forest, with the tank barely holding the line against the brute force. Success flashes as the bear gets stunned for 3 seconds, giving them a tiny window. Zichi barks at Wang Hu to hit the abdomen, hoping to exploit the opening. Yi lunges, his glowing blade slamming into the massive bear with a kinetic shock. True damage triggers as he weaves through the beast's reach, proving his speed is lethal. That stinger skill is no joke, 22 hits and the monster's health bar just melts. Zichi screams his lungs out, channeling 3 years of pure, unadulterated salt and rage. Our boy keeps his cool, noting that even with this advantage, the beast is terrifying. Meanwhile, some random adventurers are struggling to flee, their lives hanging by a thread. Yi pivots, demanding that Bai Lily stop playing hard to get and heal the wounded civilians. She snaps back, clearly stressed, but Lan Bao detects the hidden exhaustion beneath her ego. Realizing the team is useless, Yi decides he'll just have to swap in his own skills. Bai Lily finally caves, tossing a green healing wave at the injured pair in frustration. That support magic lands, saving the duo just as they were about to get flattened. She barks at Yi to get back to the fight, masking her kindness with attitude. Our boy smirks, realizing that maybe she is not as cold-hearted as she likes to pretend. He warns the survivors to scram, his lightning crackling as he prepares for the climax. Those grateful adventurers scramble away, promising to pay him back if they ever meet again. Yi locks in, ready to honor his promise and finally take down this forest calamity. He dives right back into the fray, dancing around the blood claw's massive, lethal swipes. Green light flashes as he hacks away, but the monster's hide is proving incredibly stubborn. Frustration mounts because his normal attacks barely tickle that thick, natural defensive armor plating. Zichi watches in disbelief, wondering what on earth Yi is actually trying to pull. Danger sensors are screaming because that massive bear is about to bring the house down. Yi shouts for everyone to scatter, barely dodging a crater-making impact from the beast. Panic mode is fully activated, with the team scrambling while their precious skills stay locked. Watching the carnage, Yi realizes the bear's reach is way longer than they ever anticipated. That monster is absolutely livid now, eyes glowing with a lethal, crackling energy of doom. Yi knows the blood claw's area damage is a nightmare for these low-ranked mercenary scrubs. Admitting they messed up by engaging too early, he prepares for a very rough ride. Stepping up, Yi decides he's taking the lead despite the obvious risk of instant death. Zichi loses his cool, screaming that charging in now is just a glorified suicide. Ignoring the noise, Yi commits to his promise, blade glowing as he dives into action. His internal system tracks the bear's incoming strikes, predicting every heavy blow with cold precision. This mercenaries watch in shock, wondering how this kid has the guts to stand tall. Zichi sees something the others miss, his eyes narrowing as he tracks the movement. Despite the speed boost, Yi is still playing a dangerous game against that massive reach. One wrong step means getting crushed, but he dances right on the edge of destruction. Doubts start creeping into the squad, with everyone assuming the kid is already a corpse. Zichi is spiraling, convinced his entire investment is about to vanish into thin air. That beast roars, its electrical aura surging as it prepares to unleash total forest devastation. Energy dissipates into the air, leaving the ground shattered and the team completely wide open. Yi stands firm, his resolve glowing brighter than the chaos as he honors his word. Yi swaps his skills midair, ditching the phantom for a lethal dose of silver light. This mercenaries watch in total shock, realizing their supposed dead weight is actually alive. Our boy locks eyes with the beast, ready to finally shut down that fiery temper. With a massive strike, he shatters the bear's defenses and applies a nasty bleed effect. Lightning crackles as Yi dances around the monster, turning the tide with pure raw speed. Mercenaries scramble to process the carnage, stunned that their armor-plated target is now wide open. Zichi stares in disbelief, realizing the kid was holding back a mountain of power. This system confirms a perfect hit, rating Yi's performance as a total game-changer. Despite the brutal damage, the blood claw starts regenerating, proving it's one stubborn nightmare. Suddenly, a forest of thorns erupts from the ground, trapping the beast in place. Yi narrowly avoids the massive vines, watching as they bind the monster's thrashing limbs. Lan Bao analyzes the new skill, noting the high energy cost for such massive control. Zichi barks orders, telling everyone to dump their entire arsenal into the trapped bear. Our boy watches the team finally contribute, though he knows the real work starts now. Deciding to go all out, Yi channels his energy for one final decisive strike. Silver blades flash repeatedly, stacking bleed effects until the monster's health bar starts screaming. Lan Bao admires the kid's precision, prompting Yi to stop holding back his true potential. He lunges for the kill, driving his blade home to trigger the final, lethal poison. Crimson energy tears through the air, signaling the end of this forest's biggest headache. This blood claw lets out one last pathetic roar before collapsing into the dirt. This archer lectures Yi on his technique, acting like he's the master of everything. He claims skills are not just about spamming attacks, trying to sound all wise and profound. Yi listens as the guy explains elemental convergence, which actually boosts damage by a level. A mercenary yells at Yi for his attitude, pointing out the blood claw is fading. Yi leaps onto the beast's head, driving his blade home while the team watches stunned. New skills pop up in his system, but he notes they need a wounded target. Lily approaches with a rare compliment, acting like she's actually proud of the kid. She laments her own lack of talent, while Lan Bao detects some weird, sappy affection. Yi finds the sudden gossip session suspicious, but he knows this is his golden chance. He probes Lily for the truth, but she plays coy about Zichi's secret. Playing the innocent card, Yi flatters her, hoping to crack that tough mercenary exterior wide. She snaps back in frustration, but the secret spills out. She's a softie at heart. Zichi and his brother once tried to monopolize energy devices, a classic business hustle. Disaster struck when the Blood Claw ambushed their transport, turning their profit into pure carnage. Ming sacrificed himself to save his brother, detonating the devices in a desperate play. Watching his brother vanish in the blast, Zichi's world shattered into a million pieces. Revenge became his only compass, driving him to hunt the beast that took everything away. Yi stares at the man, finally understanding the cold, bitter rage fueling this entire hunt. Standing over the dying monster, Yi prepares to deliver the final blow to the beast. This team watches the forest calamity struggle, knowing the poison will finish it off soon. Lily notes that Zichi's 3-year grudge is finally hitting its grand finale. Yi feels a weird, nagging sense of dread despite the monster being totally pinned down. That beast shows zero fear, staring back with pure, unadulterated pride and lethal, glowing eyes. Suddenly, a massive shockwave erupts, sending the entire squad scrambling for their very lives. Everyone is clutching their ears as the monster's roar threatens to shatter their eardrums. Yi stands his ground on the beast's back, demanding to know why it keeps fighting. He slams his blade down, injecting a nasty dose of black poison into the hide. Warning alerts scream in his head, but he's convinced the monster is already finished. Confusion sets in when he realizes there's no trace of the old explosion's damage. Yi orders Lan Bao to scan the perimeter, sensing something is seriously, horribly wrong. Data grids flash as the system detects a high-speed anomaly closing in on them. Realization hits him like a freight train, the arrogance, the roar, it's all wrong. This ground begins to tremble violently, leaving the mercenaries looking around in total panic. That archer yells out, completely baffled by the sudden, deafening noise shaking the forest. A second, even larger monster crashes into the scene, obliterating their formation instantly. Chaos reigns as the team gets tossed like ragdolls by the newcomer's massive, crushing weight. Debris flies everywhere, leaving the mercenaries scrambling to avoid getting turned into literal paste. Lily screams in disbelief, staring at the second beast, a nightmare they can't handle. Yi lunges forward, shouting a desperate warning to everyone as the danger peaks. He barely manages to block the incoming strike, his blade glowing against the brute force. Yi takes a brutal hit, his block failing to stop the massive damage output. Debris flies as the beast unleashes a shockwave, turning the battlefield into a wreck. Our boy stands amidst the rubble, staring down the monster that ruined his day. System warnings flash red, screaming that this encounter has hit a lethal danger level. Zichi freezes, his eyes locking onto a specific scar that triggers painful buried memories. That familiar mark confirms his worst fear. The blood claw is the same beast from before. Everything he thought he knew about the hunt crumbles, leaving him in total, bitter shock. Reality hits hard, proving his entire tactical approach was based on a massive, tragic lie. Yi watches the bear roar, realizing they've been chasing a ghost with a lethal grudge. Zichi screams into the void, blaming the beast for the deaths of his comrades. Fueled by pure, unadulterated rage, he lunges forward with his blade glowing in purple light. Energy beams crisscross the air, trapping the massive bear in a web of lethal magic. Determination hardens his resolve, knowing that killing this monster is the only way forward. He charges again, his movements desperate as he tries to land a final, fatal blow. Blood rage activates, turning the beast into a glowing, red-eyed nightmare of pure destruction. A massive swipe sends Zichi flying, his defense shattering like glass under the pressure. Stats spike as the monster gains speed, leaving our boy scrambling to keep his distance. Panic sets in, the realization dawning that they are completely outmatched by this primal force. Desperation forces a combo, layering a crystal shield with a forest of thorns for protection. Impact rocks the barrier, the beast's claws tearing through the defense with terrifying, raw power. That crystal shield is cracking under pressure, signaling a total collapse of their defense. Debris rains down as the impact zone turns into a literal crater of pure chaos. Everything is falling apart, with the forest floor getting absolutely wrecked by the beast's rage. Lily screams for Zichi, clearly realizing their entire operation has gone completely sideways. Yi brushes off his own injuries, though he knows Zichi is in deep trouble. Retreat seems like the only smart move, but the team is basically a lost cause. Those control effects are fading fast, leaving the monster ready to go on a rampage. That massive bear looms over the wreckage, looking like a nightmare fueled by pure spite. Blood rage kicks in, turning the beast into a glowing, red-eyed engine of total destruction. Stats are spiking through the roof, proving the monster is far from being finished today. Yi activates his Mirage Mist, hoping to buy them some breathing room in this mess. Swirling winds trap the bears inside, effectively blinding them while the team tries to regroup. Lily holds her ground with a glowing blade, demanding that Yi just get out. She tries to play the hero, acting like she has some secret plan to survive. Yi calls her out on the suicide mission, knowing her energy is running on empty. Stubborn as ever, she insists on finding Zichi despite the obvious, lethal danger ahead. That poor guy is barely hanging on, needing immediate help before he kicks the bucket. She would rather die trying than live with the guilt of leaving him behind. Yi watches her go, while his system keeps pinging him with perfectly logical escape routes. Ignoring the coward's path, he orders Lanbao to track down Zichi right now. Yi weighs the cost of retreat against his grand goal of changing the whole world. Lanbao pledges total support, while Lily insists on being the one to rescue Zichi. Our boy points out her lack of energy, arguing his superior speed makes him the better choice. She stares back, clearly not wanting to lose another kind soul to this brutal, unforgiving forest. Yi promises to try, but warns his own survival comes first if things go completely south. System data reveals the two blood claws are absolute monsters, their stats hitting terrifying new heights. Using the misty environment, Yi activates his phantom skill to gain a massive, stealthy advantage. He notes that keeping the phantom at a distance makes him basically invisible to the beasts. Lanbao is too busy crunching combat data to analyze the bear's insane blood rage buff. A grid appears, showing Zichi's location as Yi prepares to dash through the danger zone. This beast snarls, its primal senses picking up on something that triggers a wave of aggression. Lanbao detects the blood claw's sudden shift into pure lethal vigilance, putting Yi on edge. Panic spikes as the system warns that the monster is about to unleash a devastating skill. A massive brutal smash tears through the ground, forcing Yi to dodge for his very life. Taking damage costs him his phantom cloak, putting his favorite stealth move on a long cooldown. He curses the bear's nose, realizing he can't hide when the enemy tracks him by scent. Both bears loom over him, their combined presence making the situation look absolutely, hopelessly grim. Yi asks Lanbao to take over his emotional regulation, hoping to keep his head clear. Lily stands firm, channeling her remaining energy into a glowing cross to hold the line. Blood drips onto the rocks, marking the start of a fight they're barely surviving. Yi is hurting, his abdomen shredded by debris and his healing energy totally tapped out. Lily is barely holding it together, screaming at the kid to hurry his rescue. Behind the Mirage Mist, a broken pocket watch reflects the face of a fallen comrade. Zichi sits slumped against a tree, coughing up blood while the forest chaos rages. He realizes the mist is keeping him alive but feels guilty for dragging everyone here. Memories of his team flash by, they were just in it for the cash, poor souls. Zichi laments his leadership, realizing his obsession with the beast got his friends killed. A vision of his brother Ziming appears, begging him to live on despite everything. Yi arrives, clutching a glowing red crystal core like it's the ultimate parting gift. Warnings flash as he prepares to detonate the device, a high-stakes play for some breathing room. A hand reaches out through the swirling chaos, desperate to stop the impending, massive blast. Zichi looks up in total shock, his eyes widening as he spots the intruder. Yi lunges into the fray, his blade glowing as he moves to save the guy. Our boy is clearly annoyed, asking if this is how he gets repaid for helping. This blast zone clears, leaving the two of them huddled together amidst the forest wreckage. Zichi is completely baffled, demanding to know why Wai is even risking his neck. Wai explains he was sent to bring him back but tells him to drop that. Stunned, Zichi wonders how the kid even broke through the bear's lethal, tight encirclement. Wai admits he used honey cakes as bait, a simple trick to buy some time. Turns out even terrifying blood claw bears can't resist a sweet snack, total genius move. Wai admits those honey cakes were a total fluke, but they actually distracted the bears. Dealing with demonic power is a nightmare, especially when it tries to hijack his brain. Lanbao manages his emotions to keep him sane, yet the corruption still creeps in. Switching to support mode, Wai preps his healing skill to patch up the wounded Zichi. Zichi is genuinely shocked to see the kid tossing out high-level support magic like candy. Keeping his secrets close, Wai tells him to focus on the escape instead of his skills. Accepting the deflection, Zichi acknowledges that everyone has a few skeletons in their closet. With his mobility restored, Wai insists they move immediately to help a struggling Bai Lily. Panic flashes across Zichi's face as he realizes the dire situation they are in. Our boy looks back, his eyes glowing with that dangerous, unstable energy he's trying to suppress. Suddenly the mist clears, revealing the battlefield is even more wrecked than they had feared. Bai Lily is caught in a terrifying spot, pinned right under the massive, snarling bear. Wai is losing his cool, wondering how his plan fell apart so spectacularly and fast. Frustration boils over as he demands more power, ignoring Lan Bao's frantic warnings to stop. That dark, seductive energy offers him a shortcut to victory, tempting him to just let go. Darkness whispers in his mind, urging him to dive deep into the void for strength. High above the ground, Bai Lily remains trapped, looking like a snack for the beast. Zichi screams her name, realizing he is way too far away to save her. Desperate to intervene, he launches himself forward, hoping for a miracle in the chaos. Everything goes south as the bear readies a massive strike, leaving her completely defenseless now. Wai's stats are absolutely redlining as he prepares to make a desperate, high-stakes play. He confirms Bai Lily is just out cold, which is honestly the best news today. Tossing her to safety, he screams for a catch while the bears close the gap. Confusion hits the guy holding her, wondering why Wai is suddenly radiating such terrifying, dark energy. Our boy locks eyes with the beasts, his own gaze glowing with a menacing, unnatural light. He shifts his gear, stats surging as he readies a heavy-hitting counter against the monsters. That massive bear lunges, but Wai is already moving with a speed that defies all logic. Dodging the swipe, he readies his hammer, looking like a one-man wrecking crew in motion. This blood claw looms, but our boy is clearly done playing nice with these overgrown rugs. A sinister grin spreads across his face, signaling that the gloves are officially coming off. He swaps skills to heavy core armor, tanking up to survive the incoming brutal assault. Impact rocks the area, but the armor holds, stunning the bear for a few precious seconds. Even the guy watching is floored, realizing Wai is pulling out high-tier skills like a pro. Wai lunges at the beast, his blade carving through the air with lethal, focused intent. Swapping to Envenom, he channels pure elemental power into his weapon for a final strike. This blade bites deep, triggering a shattered status that leaves the bear wide open now. Corrupting black poison floods the beast's heart, turning the tide of this fight in seconds. Toxin erupts, and just like that, the blood claw is finally down for the count. Leveling up mid-fight is a total power move, especially with a giant bear still looming. Wai stands tall, his silver light glowing as he prepares to finish the job today. Wai's stats are absolutely skyrocketing, pushing his combat potential into a whole new dimension. Lightning arrow crackles with raw energy, ready to tear through whatever stands in his way. That massive bear is looking real sorry it decided to pick a fight today. Shattered status hits the beast hard, making every single hit count for double the pain. Haste kicks in, letting our boy dance around the monster like it's standing still. Every strike lands with surgical precision, proving that speed really does kill in this forest. Blood sprays everywhere as the bear realizes it's completely outmatched by this relentless, glowing blur. A final, crushing blow sends the beast flying, ending its reign of terror for good. Leveling up mid-fight is just showing off, but hey, the loot is definitely worth it. Zichi stares in total disbelief, wondering if the guy he knows is still human. Dark, demonic energy swirls around Wai, making him look like the final boss instead. Lan Bao is screaming for him to wake up, desperately trying to stop the corruption. Panic sets in as the team realizes their savior might be the next big threat. Wai is fighting his own mind, his eyes glowing with that terrifying, unnatural red light. Claws twitch as the dark influence tries to take the wheel for one last ride. Lan Bao works overtime to pull him back from the brink of total mental collapse. Consciousness finally returns, but the darkness leaves a parting gift of pure, unadulterated chaos. Wai snaps back to reality, demanding the demonic presence get out of his head immediately. Exhausted and drained, he forces the dark power to deactivate before it consumes him entirely. Zichi checks on him, clearly terrified by the lingering, dark marks on his hand. Wai stares at his hand, the hell's mark spreading like a bad case of ink. Lan Bao is useless here, so Wai decides he needs to grind levels, stat. A random stranger pops up, acting all impressed that they survived the forest disaster. Perched high in the trees, she watches them like a creepy, oversized forest bird. She keeps gushing over his skills, clearly fishing for his secret class and build. Wai is not buying her act, wondering why this weirdo is suddenly so interested. Recognizing her from the market, he orders Lan Bao to scan her hidden panels. Data is blocked by some skill, proving she is definitely hiding something shady today. She zips behind him, but Lan Bao notes her vibe is more curious than lethal. Pointing at his cursed hand, she asks if he is using some forbidden dark magic. Wai accidentally spills, his brain clearly scrambled by some weird, low-level mental status effect. Lan Bao works to purge the influence while she keeps digging for his secrets. Realizing she is using a manipulation skill, Wai gets annoyed at her sneaky tactics. He tries to shut her down, but she is relentless, acting like his new bestie. This guy with them starts sweating, finally placing where he has seen her before. Brandishing his blade, he demands to know who she is and why she showed up. She plays it cool, admitting she looks different now but is definitely here for him. Pulling out a drive, she reveals she hacked his old files on illegal smuggling. Panic hits the guy's face, his secret past suddenly becoming a very public problem. He lunges to grab the evidence, turning this awkward chat into a full-blown brawl. Wai is ready to throw hands, but this mysterious girl just wants to keep chatting. Recognition hits the guy like a freight train. She is Black Crow from Black Matter. That code name sounds like bad news, but she seems surprisingly chill about being exposed. Wai recalls the rumors about her underground trade network, and it's definitely not a charity. She waves off the hostility, claiming she's just here to drop some spicy, classified intel. A deal is on the table, and honestly, who can resist a shady forest bargain? She baits him with the truth about why those blood claw bears actually hunted them. Everything points to a setup, and Wai is starting to suspect their gear was sabotaged. That red crystal device is looking more like a beacon than a simple power source. She explains the hidden safety valve, a classic move for hiding high-tech, illicit tracking tech. Sure enough, the microcomponent is sitting right there, glowing like a neon sign of guilt. Every single smuggled shipment she's ever tracked had this exact suspicious little piece inside it. Lan Bao confirms it's a signal emitter, basically a dinner bell for every nearby monster. Realization dawns on the guy, his brother's death might have been a cold, calculated murder. She offers more juicy details provided Wai is willing to pay the right price. Payment is just some monster loot, but the guy is still reeling from the betrayal. They were forced to smuggle this junk just to survive, trapped by some powerful authority. She drops the bombshell that a top-tier guild leader is pulling all the strings here. This mysterious big shot is one of the 10 founders, basically a god among men. Wai is stunned that she knows the secret, leaving even Lan Bao completely in the dark. Wai is reeling from the bombshell that a 10 founder might be pulling the strings. His contact admits these elites are basically gods with stats that make bosses look pathetic. Apparently, the guild leader's specialty is finance, which sounds boring until you realize it's pure power. Processing this, Wai decides that staying away from these high-level monsters is the smartest move yet. He tells the crew to dump the black matter files and wash their hands of this. Before leaving, the contact tosses Wai a shiny new storage ring as part of their deal. Wai's eyes widen. This is not just any ring, it's a high-end, custom-made piece of tech. It's got built-in comms and optical mimicry, making him wonder if he's actually being bribed. Zichi insists on heading back to town, while Wai plans a detour to the city. Handing over a wristband for the family, Wai lets them keep the massive blood claw loot. This contact watches him go, clearly realizing this kid is way more dangerous than he looks. Suddenly, Pang Ming stumbles onto the scene, looking like he just went 10 rounds with death. He's shocked to see Wai alive, bragging about how his thick skin saved his own hide. Glad his buddy is not a corpse, the group prepares to head back to safety together. Before they split, the contact drops a final warning about Wai's dark, risky combat avatar. Wai plays it cool with a thanks, though he's definitely not missing the underlying shade. Watching them leave, the contact can't shake the feeling that Wai is destined for total chaos. They part ways in the sun-drenched forest, leaving the mystery of the founders behind them. Pang Ming and the others sprint off, eager to put this nightmare behind them for good. Offering to carry the wounded by Lily, Pang Ming takes charge to speed up their escape. Black Crow shuts down the chatter, her eyes narrowing with a sharp, warning glare. Zichi looks totally lost, wondering if he just stepped on a massive landmine. Wai keeps his cool, offering to carry the still-recovering Lily back to safety. Lily is clearly spiraling, questioning if they should just ignore this massive, looming conspiracy. She points out the terrifying scale of these monster-tracking devices hidden across human settlements. Wai realizes their past escape from Ringstar City was likely a calculated, sinister setup. Determined to stop being a pawn, he vows they will not be played again. Black Crow spots the blood claw corpse, immediately trying to haggle for the loot. She throws out a massive cash offer, acting like this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Wai brushes off the bribe, focusing on using his tech to hide his mark. With the Hell's Mark finally concealed, he eyes the beast for any remaining secrets. Black Crow freaks out as he draws his blade, demanding he stop the investigation. Lan Bao detects a weird energy spike inside the bear, confirming something is wrong. Wai grins, realizing he's caught her in a lie and is ready to dig. Lightning crackles as he slices the beast open, exposing the hidden glowing tech inside. Shock hits him hard. That's no ordinary component, it's a high-tier specialized magic crystal. This crystal pulses with dangerous power, revealing the true source of the monster's rage. Meanwhile, a fancy guy in a monocle discusses Madame Dasha's secret classified disappearance. He grills Mr. 11, who stays tight-lipped to avoid giving away any fatal flaws. Donghai keeps pushing for answers, clearly playing a high-stakes game of political cat and mouse. Yi realizes the deal is dead and finding that world fragment just got way harder. Trapped in a room with two high-level goons, he needs a quick exit strategy. Donghai excuses himself for a call, leaving Yi to plot his next tactical move. Those bodyguards are absolute tanks, so taking them both at once is a total death wish. Our boy decides to pick them off one by one, assuming he survives the wait. Suddenly, the goons are ordered to stand down, leaving Yi confused by the sudden shift. Donghai announces the arrival of Madame Dasha, the big shot everyone is terrified of meeting. This doors swing open, revealing a mysterious lady who clearly owns the entire room. Madame Dasha enters, looking like she's here to buy the city and fire everyone. Donghai plays the charming host, though he's clearly sweating under her intense, icy gaze. She dismisses rumors of her disappearance as mere gossip, blaming it on some romantic drama. Madame Dasha calls out Donghai for his nosy behavior, putting him right back in place. Yi uses Lanbao to scan her, finally piercing through her fancy, magical light shroud. This scan reveals her true identity as Black Crow, the same person he just met. It turns out Madame Dasha and Mr. 11 are old acquaintances, making this even messier. She confirms she personally handed the goods to him, owning the whole shady setup. Madame Dasha claims she just loves helping powerful people, which is code for total manipulation. Donghai confirms Yi's loot is legit, while noting her weirdly intense interest in the kid. She demands another favor, handing over a request that Yi definitely cannot refuse today. Yi wonders if she's testing him, knowing full well she started this entire chaotic mess. Donghai finally acknowledges Yi's raw power, dropping the act to offer a formal apology. Cash hits the account instantly, proving that even shady elites respect a heavy hitter. Yi takes the payout, but he knows this lady is just dragging him deeper. Madame Dasha pivots, casually asking Donghai to let her friend join the upcoming tournament. Donghai agrees with a smile, clearly thinking Yi is just another pawn to exploit. Yi plays dumb, needing the lowdown on this so-called elite assembly before jumping in. Turns out it's an Apex Guild Arena tournament, basically a meat grinder for high-level talent. Entry is restricted to C rank and above, keeping the riffraff out of their private brawl. Winners stay in the ring to face the next challenger, a brutal, endless survival gauntlet. Madame Dasha teases the massive rewards, knowing exactly how to bait a hungry survivor. Winning a streak grants access to the Apex Vault, home to artifacts money can't touch. Yi's eyes light up. This is his golden ticket to the tower's restricted upper levels. Getting to the summit is impossible otherwise, making this tournament a mandatory high-stakes death trap. Lanbao confirms the world fragment is likely stashed there, locking in their dangerous plan. Doubts creep in though as Yi wonders what Black Crow is actually playing at here. She hides behind her fan, looking like the ultimate mastermind of this entire mess. Donghai watches them both, completely oblivious to the fact that he's the odd man out. He activates his iridescent star skill, a fancy way to judge people by their aura. Colors reveal true temperaments: red for rage, orange for ego, and purple for pure cunning deceit. Madame Dasha glows purple, but Yi senses something off. She's hiding way more than just malice. Donghai is losing his mind over Yi's weird, transparent aura. The guy is a total enigma. He decides the elite assembly is the perfect stress test to see if Yi actually delivers. With the clock ticking, Donghai herds them toward the tournament venue like a nervous, fancy shepherd. He gestures toward the elevator, playing the perfect host while hiding his own greedy, calculating agenda. Madame Dasha agrees to the plan, and Yi just nods along, keeping his cards close. They pile into the lift, leaving the goons behind as they head for the 9th floor. Once the doors shut, Madame Dasha drops the act and demands the favor she's owed. She knows Yi clocked her identity early, but she's clearly impressed by his sharp, survivalist instincts. Her request is a doozy, a 7-match winning streak to snag some rare, magical liquid. Yi stares back, wondering why this lady is so obsessed with a random bottle of water. She pulls up a holographic map showing him exactly where the loot is stashed away. That treasure vault is deep in the tower, making this a high-stakes heist disguised as sports. Yi points out the obvious danger. This tournament is a meat grinder for anyone with a pulse. Madame Dasha snaps back, insisting he wins because that crystal water is her absolute non-negotiable priority. She reminds him he already survived the blood claw, so stop acting like a total amateur. Our boy realizes that if he grabs the item, he's got the ultimate leverage for later. They stand in the elevator, a pair of schemers plotting a heist right under Donghai's nose. Donghai watches them from the side, sensing their weird, tense dynamic is definitely not normal. This lift finally dings, dumping them right into the heart of the chaotic, high-level tournament zone. Madame Dasha gives a final, sharp look, and Yi prepares to enter the absolute chaos. This third elite assembly kicks off, and the crowd is already losing their collective minds. A host introduces the big shot director Donghai, who clearly loves the sound of applause. Walking in with Madame Dasha and Yi, Donghai plays the charming host to the masses. Random spectators drool over Madame Dasha, completely missing the dangerous vibe she's radiating right now. Other teams spot Yi, wondering who this mysterious kid is and why he's tagging along. A rival team leader spots Yi, already dreaming of crushing him for a quick ego boost. He promises his partner he'll make Yi beg, clearly underestimating who he's actually dealing with. Yi stays focused, knowing he just needs a solid performance to survive this meat grinder. Donghai takes the stage, announcing he's running the show while the real boss is away. He starts droning on about the rules, acting like this is a polite, civilized garden party. This tournament is a brutal king of the hill setup, win 7 times or go home. Winning that streak unlocks the Apex Vault, which is basically a treasure chest of broken gear. Some random team leader calculates the loot value, eyes wide at the potential 10 million payout. Hua Ling calls out the difficulty, knowing 7 straight wins is a total suicide mission. Donghai clarifies the fairness rules, pretending he cares about balance in this rigged death match. Madame Dasha leans in, reminding Wai that he owes her a favor, no backing out now. Wai knows the stakes, the crystal water and the world fragment are both on the line. He steels himself, realizing he needs to blitz through this tournament before things get messy. This host announces a lottery to pick the first defender, keeping the tension at max. Excited fighters scream for their chance, totally unaware they're just cannon fodder for the elites. This stage is set for a brutal showdown between the mysterious 11 and Zai Jin. Spectators are losing their minds, wondering how this random nobody got a spot in here. Wai keeps his cool, knowing this setup is exactly the kind of chaos he needs. Donghai watches with that smug monocle, clearly hoping to see the kid get absolutely wrecked. A new host takes the mic, ushering Donghai away so the real carnage can finally start. Confusion ripples through the crowd when the system fails to pull up 11's basic stats. Stepping into the spotlight, Wai decides to handle his own introduction with a cold stare. Behind the scenes, he swaps his skills, trading flashy light for something much more deceptive. Cloaked in layers of digital armor, he locks in his fake identity to keep everyone guessing. Madame Dasha watches him, genuinely shocked that he managed to pull off such a slick move. Looking like a total pro, Wai draws his blade and prepares to dismantle his first opponent. Chai Jin launches himself into the arena, eager to show off his fancy Gale Shadow style. Speed is his game, and he's banking on that wind cloud step to overwhelm the kid. Lanbao analyzes the incoming threat, instantly mapping out the flow of the opponent's energy. Wai stands his ground, watching the blur of motion as his rival tries to get cute. Adapting to the pace, he readies his counter, feeling the system sync perfectly with his instincts. Lanbao flags the incoming strike, giving Wai the exact window he needs to strike back. With a single, precise motion, he slices through the defense, catching Chai Jin off guard. This rival hits the floor hard, clutching his arm as the reality of defeat sets in. Poison surges through the wound, shutting down his movement and ending the fight in seconds. Wai forces a quick surrender, his blade glowing with a lethal, purple-hued promise of pain. Spectators are losing their minds, wondering how this random kid just nuked a skilled fighter. Lanbao confirms the poison did the heavy lifting, making the win look way too easy. This host announces the open challenge phase, officially turning this arena into a total bloodbath zone. Rival teams watch from the stands, debating if Wai is actually a threat or just lucky. A new challenger steps up, sneering at Wai like he's already won the entire tournament trophy. Zhang Tianyu struts onto the stage, clearly loving the sound of his own arrogant, hollow voice. He claims Wai is not qualified to stand there, acting like he's the main character of reality. Wai stays stone cold, already scanning the guy's stats to see if he's actually worth the effort. Lanbao pulls up the data, revealing a flashy skill set that screams massive ego issues. Zhang Tianyu gets triggered by the silence, promising to make Wai regret his lack of respect. Our boy just tells him to hurry up, clearly bored by the guy's endless, dramatic posturing. This crowd gasps, shocked that anyone would dare talk back to the Apex Guild's golden boy. Everyone knows Zhang Tianyu is a monster, having soloed a C1 rank boss just last week. Critics in the stands mock Wai's gear, convinced he's about to be turned into absolute paste. Zhang Tianyu dreams of his future leverage, completely oblivious to the fact he's a total clown. He draws his glowing blade, ready to serve up a lesson in humility he cannot afford. This host signals the start, and the arena atmosphere shifts from hype to pure lethal intent. Zhang Tianyu activates his elemental buffs, thinking he's about to show the kid real power. A massive burst of energy erupts, but Wai is already moving to dismantle his fragile ego. Pink energy blasts tear through the arena, leaving nothing but scorched earth behind. Wai dodges the chaos, his movement fluid as he avoids the lethal, glowing streaks. Lanbao analyzes the threat, noting the massive damage but the guy's terrible, sloppy aim. Zhang Tianyu gloats, firing off more stars while calling our boy a pathetic, scurrying rat. Explosions rock the stage, but the protective barrier keeps the crowd from getting vaporized. Spectators watch in awe, terrified by the sheer raw power of those long-range elemental shots. Wai realizes the cooldown is way too short to wait out, forcing a risky play. Closing the gap is the only move left, so he charges the caster head-on. Zhang Tianyu smirks, thinking the kid is just walking into a death trap, totally clueless. A golden shield snaps into place, blocking the strike and leaving Wai's blade useless. That magic crystal barrier is a nightmare, and Wai knows his poison will not cut it. Zhang Tianyu prepares a targeted skill, ready to punish the kid for his reckless charge. With a twisted grin, he unleashes his ultimate attack, convinced the match is already over. Star stagnation hits, summoning a gravitational pull meant to freeze Wai in place for seconds. Purple energy chains lock onto our boy, leaving him trapped in a total, inescapable bind. Wai keeps his cool, waiting for the exact moment the guy burns his best cards. Suddenly, he shifts his stance, ready to strike back now that the trap is sprung. A massive blast erupts, but the target is not what it seems to the arrogant caster. Zhang Tianyu laughs, bragging about how he's about to peel the skin off his bones. Confusion hits the crowd as they realize the attack did not even touch a solid body. Yi's attack lands, but it's just a clever illusion. The guy is playing mind games. Zhang Tianyu loses his cool, confused why a supposed Flora warrior is using cloud techniques. Panic sets in as his golden shield gets absolutely wrecked by Yi's relentless sharp blade. That magic crystal barrier shatters like cheap glass, leaving the arrogant caster wide open now. Yi warns him to watch his step, turning the tables on this overconfident loud mouth. Dodging the heavy hits, our boy closes the distance with some seriously slick fluid movement. A massive summoned worm erupts from the ground, shaking the entire arena to its core. Zhang Tianyu is reeling, shocked that he's actually fighting a rare dual-branch class powerhouse today. Yi activates his wind cloud step, making it clear he's done playing nice with him. Screaming for mercy, the golden boy realizes he's way out of his depth against Yi. A brutal strike connects, sending the rival flying as the crowd watches in total disbelief. Yi keeps the pressure on, dismantling his opponent with a flurry of precise, lethal strikes. That giant worm slams down, but our boy is already long gone, avoiding the impact. Supporters in the stands are losing their minds, watching their champion get absolutely dismantled here. Everyone is stunned by the raw power on display, realizing Yi is a total beast. Zhang Tianyu lies in the rubble, his ego and his face both completely smashed in. Our boy stands tall, deciding to spare the guy just to avoid unnecessary guild drama. Lan Bao confirms the analysis is complete, handing Yi some sweet, stolen new skill data. This host announces the upset of the century, confirming the fall of the Apex star. Spectators whisper in awe, realizing they just witnessed a rare dual-branch prodigy in the flesh. Yi notices the Black Crow has vanished, signaling he needs to speed up the pace. System scans show the crowd is hesitating, so Yi decides to stir the pot instead. Calling out the so-called elites as total frauds, he demands someone who can actually fight. Rival teams get triggered by his arrogance, shouting that a dual-branch class is not automatically invincible. Angry challengers swarm the stands, eager to teach the kid a lesson about respecting his elders. Yi admits he'd never draw this much heat if he was not hiding behind a fake identity. Chaos erupts as everyone wants a piece of him, but he just wants to keep moving. With his analysis system ready, Yi prepares to dismantle whoever is dumb enough to step up. Glowing with power, he stands ready to turn this entire arena into his personal training ground. Director Donghai watches from the VIP room, impressed by the kid's dual-branch skill set and style. Chennan drops by to grill Donghai, wondering why he's not out hunting the golden beast. Complaining about his punishment, Chennan vents his frustration while watching the tournament on screen. Chennan eyes Yi with interest, asking for the background on this mysterious, skilled combatant. Donghai admits he's suspicious, noting that Yi claims to have no team despite his obvious talent. Suggesting they just recruit the kid, Chennan thinks he's a massive upgrade over the losers. Donghai shows off a stolen magic crystal, wondering why Chennan does not just take the upgrade. Refusing the flashy gimmick, Chennan insists that true powerhouses do not need to rely on gear. They both agree that Yi is hiding something, given how he handled that previous tough fight. Chennan gets a wicked grin, deciding he'll head down to test the kid's limits personally. Meanwhile, Yi effortlessly secures his third win, leaving the crowd stunned by his sheer, stylish dominance. Yi crushes another opponent, his fourth win in a row, leaving the crowd totally stunned. Lightning-fast reflexes help him spot a sneaky clone, securing his fifth victory with ease. Flame shadow techniques do not stand a chance against his relentless pace, netting him win number 6. That announcer is losing her mind, screaming about how this kid is absolutely wrecking everyone. His latest rival just throws in the towel, admitting defeat before things get truly ugly. Panic spreads through the stands as every big-name team leader bites the dust one by one. Spectators are questioning reality, wondering how one guy can have such insane top-tier combat awareness. Nobody left in the C-rank bracket even wants to step up to this absolute monster. Lan Bao hands over the loot, and Yi happily pockets a fresh haul of stolen skills. Silence fills the arena as the host desperately begs for someone to challenge the undefeated. Cowardly teams in the stands decide it's better to just sit this one out entirely. One guy in the crowd is actually sweating, terrified someone else might steal his spot. Finally, a challenger emerges from the tunnel, looking for a fight to satisfy his ego. Yi glances over, curious to see if this newcomer is actually worth the extra effort. His hands are itching for a real scrap, and he's ready to test his limits. Nothing else matters but the thrill of the hunt, and he's locked in for battle. This crowd gasps in shock, recognizing the newcomer as someone way out of his league. Yi scans the guy's stats, his eyes widening as he realizes the massive power gap. Chennan steps up, a B-rank powerhouse who just wants to smash something for fun. Green energy explodes across the stage, signaling the start of a truly brutal, high-stakes showdown. Yi drops the ultimate ultimatum, telling his opponent that survival is strictly a personal problem. That bulky challenger activates a stat-matching buff, clearly thrilled to finally have a real challenge. Dust kicks up as the guy lunges, his confidence radiating like a neon sign in dark. Yi does not blink, meeting the charge with a glowing blade and a promise of pain. Sparks fly as their weapons collide, the sheer force of the impact shaking the arena. Brutal pressure forces the challenger back, his smug expression starting to crack under the heavy strain. Yi keeps the momentum, his movements precise while the opponent struggles to find a solid footing. A desperate parry barely saves the guy from a clean hit, but he's already losing ground. Gritting his teeth, the challenger claims he almost had him, a classic case of delusional thinking. Yi shuts that talk down, weaving through the defenses with a lethal, calculated strike of steel. Desperation sets in as the rival demands more power, ignoring the fact he's totally outclassed. Another massive clash erupts, sending shockwaves through the stage and leaving the crowd absolutely breathless. Laughing like a maniac, the challenger begs for 300 more rounds of this absolute beating. Yi checks his system, realizing he's got enough juice to end this charade right now. Confusion flashes across the rival's face as the environment suddenly shifts against his favor. Purple energy surges, locking the guy down with a nasty skill that stops him cold. Panic hits the challenger, his eyes wide as he realizes he's trapped in a skill loop. Silver lightning crackles around Yi, turning his blade into a glowing, high-voltage nightmare for the guy. Swapping skills on the fly, our boy prepares the finishing move while the rival looks lost. Willpower flares up as the guy tries to break free, but the end is already written. Chen screams in pure frustration, his defenses crumbling under the relentless, crushing pressure. Yi does not hold back, unleashing a final devastating blast to seal his opponent's fate. Blinding light erupts as the two forces collide, shaking the very foundations of the arena. Thorns vanish into thin air, leaving the crowd gasping as they wonder who actually survived. Spectators scramble to see the aftermath, their eyes glued to the center of the stage. Dust settles to reveal the two fighters, one standing tall while the other hits rock bottom. Confusion ripples through the stands, with onlookers struggling to process the sudden, shocking turn of events. Panic spikes when someone notices the blood, realizing the B-rank powerhouse is actually seriously hurt. Chen stares at his own hand, dripping with crimson, stunned by his own defeat. Yi feels the brutal drain of his power, his body hitting a wall of exhaustion. Pulling himself together, he hides his fatigue, knowing he cannot show weakness to these vultures. Chen grins through the pain, clearly impressed by the kid who just wrecked him. Yi keeps his guard up, wondering if this guy is actually insane for enjoying the beating. Laughing off the injuries, Chen acts like he just had the time of his life. This announcer confirms the upset, declaring Yi the winner after that brutal, high-stakes display of skill. Cheers erupt for the new local celebrity, but Yi only cares about collecting his prize. Chen hands over the glowing crystal, looking like he's already dreading the coming headache. Scratching his head, the loser worries about explaining this massive failure to his guild leader. Lanbao scans the mysterious artifact, warning Yi that its energy is way beyond normal. Yi prepares for his next move, ready to infiltrate the vault and claim his reward. Yi gets the word Donghai is waiting for him at the treasure vault finally. They head down a sterile, high-tech corridor that definitely does not scream friendly neighborhood hangout. Yi calls out the guy for using his signature move, dropping the act entirely. Chen talks about a copy beast, fishing for info on Yi's own weird powers. Realizing he's been played, Yi demands to know why they are not at the vault yet. Chen just smirks, acting like he's the one in control of this little trip. Suspicion hits hard because this hallway is clearly not an elevator, just a dead end. Chen pulls out a fancy card, scanning it to bypass the security gate's lock. A warp channel rips open, and Yi is left wondering what kind of tech this is. This portal swirls with raw energy, looking like a shortcut straight into a massive headache. Yi is stunned that such high-end travel tech is actually being used right here. Chen explains it's just a small-scale version, restricted to the tower's own internal network. Apparently, warp tech was just a pipe dream before the world went completely off rails. Yi wonders if the Apex Guild is hoarding this tech or if something else happened. Time is ticking, the portal only stays open for 30 seconds, so move it already. Lanbao chimes in, urging Yi to jump through and see what's on the other. Our boy decides to roll with it, trusting his gut to handle whatever comes next. Everything he's doing is just to get closer to that elusive, game-changing world fragment. Yi dives into the stream, soaring past the tower's floors like a high-speed ghost. He zips through the building's levels, completely bypassing the security of this entire massive structure. Yi drifts through the shimmering warp channel, eyes locked on the massive black sphere ahead. Energy readings spike as he realizes that ominous sphere is actually the target he needs. Landing with a jolt, he stabilizes himself while the residual warp energy fades away completely. Lanbao confirms the system resonance, identifying the sphere as the elusive world fragment at last. Chen mocks his shaky legs, clearly enjoying the sight of a powerhouse struggling with travel. Brushing off the jab, Yi regains his composure and scans the strange, high-tech surroundings with suspicion. Donghai steps into view, welcoming them to the legendary treasure vault with a smug, polished grin. Glass cases display rare relics like basilisk scales and scorched skulls, a collector's absolute fever dream. Exotic artifacts fill the room, from essence crystals to star blades, all just sitting there waiting. Donghai explains the layout, claiming the guild's collection is so massive they needed a dedicated vault. Leveling up from the sheer proximity to such wealth, Yi realizes the Apex Guild is loaded. They reach the central platform, overlooking a sprawling, multi-tiered maze of priceless, glowing loot containers. Donghai gestures toward a specific display, asking if that's the item our boy came here for. Inside sits the Holy Crystal Stone, a rare B-rank relic that drips life-saving magical water. Yi pockets the glowing stone, noting its healing properties while Donghai watches him with calculated interest. Mentally checking his priorities, Yi decides to keep the stone, hoping Black Crow stays out of sight. Donghai probes for a reaction, wondering if the kid is actually satisfied with his chosen prize. Dropping the pleasantries, Donghai makes his move, inviting Yi to join the prestigious Apex Guild. Realizing the tournament was just a glorified recruitment drive, Yi sees through the corporate charade instantly. Refusing to link up with the dangerous Ten Swords, he weighs the offer of extra loot. Chen tries to recruit Yi, promising him a spot as a top combat core. Yi shuts that down instantly, valuing his freedom way more than some corporate guild badge. Donghai steps in with a fake smile, begging the kid to reconsider the massive resources. Ignoring the sales pitch, Yi walks off to claim his reward, leaving them totally stunned. Silence hangs heavy between the two guild members as they watch him walk away alone. Chen asks if he saw anything suspicious, but the answer is a flat nothing. Frustrated, Donghai admits his fancy ice skill failed to track the kid's actual power level. That a rank artifact is supposed to see through any disguise, yet it's completely useless here. Chen suggests a violent interrogation, paranoid that Yi might be a spy for rivals. Caution wins out, as Donghai worries about the guild's reputation if they get it wrong. Keeping him close until the guild master returns becomes their new, desperate game plan instead. Yi smirks, knowing his system blocked their pathetic attempt to probe his real identity. Lanbao reminds him that without the access pass, the warp channel remains totally locked. Scanning the vault for a solution, Yi spots something interesting hidden among the rare loot. A new skill crystal catches his eye and he's ready to snatch it up immediately. While he browses, a mysterious object in a nearby display case starts shaking like crazy. That stone egg is vibrating with intense energy, clearly reacting to Yi's presence right now. Outside, Chen gets impatient, wondering why the kid is taking so long to choose. Yi finally emerges from the vault and they immediately demand to see his chosen prize. He shows them a handful of beans, hiding his true haul behind a casual shrug. Chen is fuming, calling Yi out for grabbing nothing but a handful of beans. That fancy guy in the suit suggests they head to the 6th floor for now. Yi plays it cool, asking to get a quick look at that warp channel pass. Chen looks annoyed, wondering why the kid is suddenly so obsessed with their security. Yi feigns interest in the tech while his system starts scanning the nearby energy source. Acting like a total nerd, he begs for a peek to satisfy his technical curiosity. Chen shrugs, figuring a quick look will not hurt, but he's still acting super suspicious. Warning the kid that he's an outsider, he holds the pass up for inspection anyway. Lanbao works its magic, successfully analyzing the pass and meeting all the skill requirements. Yi acts like he's bored, telling them he's finished and ready to leave this place. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the tower, shaking the entire structure to its very core. Chen and his partner panic, completely blindsided by the sudden, violent breach of security. Alarms blare as the vault platform turns into a death trap, forcing everyone to scramble. Debris rains down while the two guild members desperately try to find a safe exit. Cursing their luck, they wonder who would dare attack the heart of the tower now. Yi keeps his cool, telling them to watch their backs while he makes his move. Popping a quick snack to boost his power, he realizes this chaos is his chance. Everything is falling apart, but our boy is already calculating his next high-speed escape route. Lanbao screams that the warp channel is failing, urging Yi to act right now. Activating his star prayer skill, he locks onto the pass to secure his final escape. Yi successfully swipes the access pass, his system confirming the prayer actually worked out. Moving fast, he hits the security console to bypass the lock before anyone notices. A warp channel flickers to life, but the energy levels are looking dangerously unstable. This portal starts failing, leaving Yi to jump through just as the connection snaps. Back in the vault, the guild members panic as the warp channel suddenly activates. Donghai realizes the energy spike means trouble is brewing on the 26th floor. Chen loses his pass, forcing the duo to scramble for a backup plan. Their attempt to open a new channel fails, leaving them trapped in the vault. Donghai stares at the chaos, realizing they are stuck while the tower literally crumbles. On the other side, Yi barely survives the collapse of the unstable warp channel. Escaping the inferno, he realizes he was seconds away from being vaporized in there. Luck is on his side, as the destroyed channel ensures no one can follow. Clutching the mysterious egg, he realizes this thing is the true source of chaos. Another massive explosion rocks the corridor, forcing him to take cover behind a wall. Peeking around the corner, he spots a high-stakes standoff happening in the next room. A glowing barrier protects a group from the fire while a thief holds the sphere. This guild leader screams at the traitor, demanding the return of their precious black sphere. Yi watches from the shadows, listening as the thief casually negotiates for the loot. His system scans the thief, revealing her true appearance hidden behind a light mist. This thief demands 10 billion for the sphere, turning this entire disaster into business. This Apex research team is sweating bullets, wondering why Li Mao is taking so long. Jia Li, the team leader, loses his cool and threatens to fire everyone for gossiping. Suddenly, Li Mao pops out of the restroom with a cheerful wave, completely oblivious. Enraged by the delay, Jia Li grabs him by the collar, ready to explode. After a harsh warning to get lost, Li Mao just nods, playing the perfect coward. In reality, Yi is using his light mist skill to maintain his perfect undercover disguise. With the team heading to the containment floor, he knows his long stakeout is paying off. Securing the black sphere means leverage, and that means finally buying his own sweet freedom. They step through the warp portal, leaving the mundane world behind for high-tech madness. Jia Li barks orders to stay sharp, unaware he's leading a wolf into the fold. Standing guard at the gate, Jia Zifeng halts the group with a grumpy, suspicious glare. This old guy is the official guardian of the black sphere, and he's not budging. Desperate, Jia Li tries to bribe his own uncle with 5 million in magic crystals. Yi watches closely, knowing this guardian is a powerhouse who uses dangerous four symbols arts. Seeing the bribe, Jia Zifeng's greed kicks in and he decides to bend the rules. With a smug nod, the guardian agrees to let them pass into the restricted zone. They march down the sterile, high-tech corridor, moving deeper into the heart of the tower. Jia Li keeps whining about his research struggles, oblivious to the threat walking beside him. This guardian shuts him down, demanding no trouble while they work on the black sphere. Yi keeps his hands steady on his gear, ready to strike when the moment hits. Yi stares in total disbelief at the hidden tech, clearly out of his depth here. This secret weapon packs enough punch to rival in a rank powerhouse, a terrifying prospect indeed. Barked orders snap him back to reality, forcing our boy to hustle for his cover. Deep in the facility, the team finally reaches the legendary black sphere, glowing with malice. Pure shock hits Yi as he realizes the sheer scale of the energy trapped inside. Everyone gathers around the containment unit, eyes wide at the sight of their ultimate prize. Magnetic fields hum with lethal intensity, keeping the volatile sphere from tearing the room apart. Red crystals begin their strange transformation, feeding off the sphere's raw, unstable power output now. Jia Li gets way too excited about the research, ignoring the obvious danger signs ahead. Commands fly as the team scrambles to adjust the field, completely oblivious to the threat. Yi gets saddled with the grunt work, acting like a total amateur to stay hidden. Playing the coward, he agrees to handle the data while the others do the heavy. Running off to his station, he prepares to sabotage the entire operation from the inside. Admitting he's no scientist, he leans into his true talent for breaking things with style. Lightning arcs across the chamber as the sphere starts reacting to his subtle, calculated interference. Jia Li remains smugly confident, unaware his precious experiment is about to go completely sideways. Second uncle questions the safety, but the team leader insists his simulations are totally foolproof. Alarms scream as the pressure spikes, turning their brilliant research into a ticking time bomb. Chaos erupts when the containment fails, leaving Jia Li scrambling for his missing data analyst. Realizing Yi has vanished, the team panics as the whole lab begins to fall apart. Absolute chaos erupts as the tower's core goes critical, shaking the very foundation. This guardian scrambles to deploy a defensive barrier, shielding the team from searing flames. Screaming for a fix, the leader demands action while the facility turns into scrap. Desperate, the tech guy plans to dump the energy flux, unaware of the collateral damage. Lightning arcs wildly through the chamber, signaling the total collapse of the containment field. Explosions rip through the treasure vault, leaving everyone scrambling for their lives in terror. Warning systems blare as the black sphere loses power, creating a perfect window for theft. Yi lunges for the prize, snatching the sphere right out of the unstable energy field. Stunned, the Guardian demands to know who dared to swipe their precious, glowing black sphere. Realizing he's holding the tower's literal heart, Yi grins, knowing this payday is absolutely massive. Enraged, the Guardian unleashes a freezing dragon breath, intent on turning the thief into ice. Dodging the frost with ease, Yi taunts the old man, feeling untouchable in his cloak. Sprinting toward the exit, he knows that reaching the door means total, permanent freedom. A bullet whizzes past his head, forcing him to realize his cover is completely blown. Turning back, he mocks the team for their pathetic aim, clearly enjoying the high-stakes chase. This leader points his gun, screaming about stolen honor while looking like a total clown. Suddenly, the Guardian hits him with a spirit tiger, trying to lock his movement down. Feeling the spectral beast inside, Yi realizes he's been tagged with a nasty control skill. Tossing a red crystal as a distraction, he bolts, refusing to stick around for dinner. This Guardian spots the explosive magma bomb, realizing too late that he's been played again. This lab turns into a total inferno, forcing the Guardian to shield his team. Yi kneels amidst the chaos, clutching the black sphere like a golden lottery ticket. Struggling against the Guardian's mental lock, he prays his boots have one last dash. Apex Guild members scream for their stolen loot, completely losing their minds in panic. Yi plays the ultimate troll, offering to return the sphere for 10 billion credits. That smug Guardian laughs, claiming his mental trap makes any escape attempt totally impossible. Our boy is not buying the hype, dropping his price to 9 billion for quick cash. Threatening to let an accomplice snatch the prize, he keeps the pressure on them. This old man scoffs at the bluff, convinced no one else could possibly be here. Suddenly, the team spots real intruders, realizing Yi was not lying about his backup plan. Three mysterious cloaked figures storm the room, turning the standoff into a three-way brawl. Yi is just as shocked as they are, realizing his fake bluff actually manifested. This Guardian summons a massive spirit dragon, ready to crush everyone in his path. Ice spikes erupt from the floor, shattering the room and creating total, blinding chaos. Frustrated by the clones, the Guardian wonders where his original target actually vanished to. Realizing he's been played, the old man vows to hunt the thief down personally. Yi makes his move, sprinting away under the cover of a mysterious, glowing companion. Stunned by the sudden invisibility, he wonders how his new ally pulled that off. That strange egg is the secret power source, masking their presence from the guards. This mysterious stranger demands the sphere, leaving Yi completely confused by this sudden turn. Yi realizes his mysterious companion is also hunting for the coveted black sphere. A tense negotiation begins as he offers her an escape route for the loot. She refuses to hand over her leverage, doubting his promises are worth anything at all. His system flags her anxiety, confirming she is lying about her true intentions here. Suddenly, the caster triggers a nightmare erosion, hitting her with a painful, magical backlash. Yi watches as her light mist disguise flickers and dies, exposing her true self. Desperate to survive, she finally begs him to make a deal for her life. He stays focused on the prize, knowing her dire situation is his golden opportunity. She signs a magic contract, binding them together under threat of severe internal injury. Now stuck in a sealed room, they assess their bleak chances of getting out. Yi decides to stash her somewhere safe while he handles the heavy lifting ahead. Holding the black sphere, he marvels at how easily he secured this world fragment. His system warns against absorbing it yet, so he prepares to flee the area. They scan the room for an exit, finding only a digital grid of walls. A concrete barrier blocks their path, hiding the only way down to the ground. Strategy shifts as they realize the elevator shaft is their last hope for escape. Yi hands her a high-explosive magma bomb, hoping it helps them blast through obstacles. Their lives are now officially linked by the contract, but the hard work remains. She fears the arrival of reinforcements, hoping they stay away long enough to vanish. Yi ponders her cryptic warning about them, knowing whatever is coming spells total disaster. Yi weighs the risks of a massive explosion just to blast through this thick wall. Turning to his mysterious egg companion, he checks if they are on the same page. That adorable egg shakes twice, signaling it is totally down to hop into his ring. Yi is stunned to find his new pet actually knows how to use group concealment skills. Suddenly, his system screams a warning about an incoming attack, forcing him to react instantly. A massive blade descends from above, nearly turning our boy into a human kebab. Yi barely dodges the strike, feeling the sheer force of the impact rattle his bones. Another lethal horizontal slash follows, making him realize he is in way over his head. Dodging again, he narrowly avoids being sliced in half by the relentless high-tech machine. A stray spark catches his arm, proving that even a near miss here is still painful. Watching the wall get shredded like paper, he knows one direct hit means total game over. This machine locks onto him with a cold, robotic target, marking him for immediate termination. Scanning the threat, Yi realizes he is facing a giant Orank mech with insane stats. Frozen in a block of ice, the researchers watch the chaos, helpless to do anything. Second Uncle casually explains that freezing them is just to keep his secrets under wraps. This team leader freaks out, wondering how an AI system survived the worldwide purge. Smugly, the old man reveals their guild leader had special access to the creation project. He boasts about his authority to command these powerful mechs within the Ring Star Tower. These machines are linked to the sphere, meaning they can track any thief anywhere. Terrified, the leader realizes he just learned way too many secrets to stay alive. That old man locks onto Yi, convinced the rat has finally run out of road. Cornered by two massive mechs, our boy looks like he's about to become scrap metal. This giant machines loom over Yi, their cold steel blades ready to end his run. Panic sets in as he realizes his own power is drained, leaving him totally defenseless. Lan Bao pops up with a cheeky solution, ready to flip the script on everyone. That little digital companion works its magic, hacking into the heavy machinery with ease. System access is granted, and suddenly Yi holds the keys to the entire security grid. Shocked by the sudden upgrade, he realizes he just became the boss of these bots. Yi strikes a pose, ordering the machines to stand down and submit to his will. Obedience is instant as the towering mechs pivot to serve their new, unlikely master now. Confusion hits the room when the lethal threats suddenly stop dead in their tracks. Lan Bao explains that their logic is just a copycat, making them easy to hijack. With a smirk, Yi decides to test his new toys by ordering a wall demolition. Massive blades swing down, shredding the reinforced barrier like it was made of wet paper. Debris flies everywhere as the path clears, proving that brute force is always a classic. Yi stands amidst the dust, feeling pretty smug about his sudden high-tech tactical advantage. That old man watches in horror, realizing his precious security detail just switched sides. Grinning at the intruders, Yi welcomes them to the party he just ruined for them. Desperate commands fail, leaving the villain screaming at his own non-responsive, traitorous metal puppets. Yi offers a sarcastic invite, ready to show them exactly how his new authority works. Yi's eyes glow with intensity as he commands the mech to purge all threats. That massive steel guardian lunges forward, slashing through the air with lethal, cold precision. Desperate to survive, the team deploys a glowing barrier to block the incoming mechanical assault. Second Uncle screams at his panicked underling, demanding they call for backup before everything breaks. Another heavy mech swings its blade, clearly unimpressed by their pathetic attempts at defensive magic. Panic grips the old man as he realizes his high-tech security is turning against him. Sparks fly when the shield clashes with the machine, struggling to hold back the onslaught. Yi stands tall inside the giant robot, looking like the ultimate pilot of this chaos. Looking down from the massive shaft, he prepares to make a daring, high-altitude escape attempt. Clutching his companion, he knows that surviving this drop requires a very specific, risky skill. Lanbao warns that his body is hitting its limit, but he ignores the pain. Ordering the mech to shield them, he prepares to dive into the dark, vertical abyss. Down they plummet through the tower's core, moving at speeds that would terrify any normal person. Gravity pulls at them while the machine descends, turning the shaft into a high-speed slide. Electrical energy crackles around his hands, signaling the activation of his secret high-voltage movement technique. An electromagnetic field flares to life, giving him total control over his descent and speed. Calculating the physics on the fly, he stays focused on landing without turning into paste. Suddenly, his vision glitches with static, as if reality itself is starting to tear apart. Everything freezes in midair, leaving him trapped in a weird, silent pocket of dead space. Yi panics as his connection to Lanbao vanishes, leaving him completely alone in limbo. Yi finds himself trapped in a digital nightmare as system warnings flood the air. Panic hits him hard when he realizes he is facing a sentient data entity. That glowing, horned beast demands to know why Yi holds control over the mech. Frustrated by the lack of readable data, the entity threatens to tear his defenses. Yi watches his protective barrier flicker, wondering if his luck is finally running dry. Desperation mounts as the system forces a dispersal, pushing the entity back for now. That digital monster screams in rage as the forced disconnection rips it away. Yi barely survives the encounter, left wondering if more threats are lurking nearby. Vowing revenge, the entity promises that their paths will definitely cross again soon. Relief washes over Yi as he finally snaps back into his own physical body. He finds himself still inside the mech, realizing he is back in the game. Lanbao chirps in, ecstatic to have reconnected with its master after the struggle. That little bot explains the intense data war it fought to protect their control. Yi wonders if the entity was the legendary creation, but Lanbao clarifies things. A tracking mark remains on the mech, making their current ride a massive liability. Realizing he is a walking beacon for enemies, Yi decides to ditch the machine. He prepares to bail, hoping to send the mech out in a final blaze. Outside the tower, the crowd gathers as the Apex Guild shuts everything down tight. Confusion spreads among the traders who have never seen the guild act this desperate. Lu Xin steps onto the scene, looking ready to hunt down whoever caused this. This Apex Guild leader is fuming, ordering a total lockdown of the Ring Star Tower. Red energy flares as the barrier shatters, signaling that someone is definitely crashing the party. Bystanders point in shock, realizing the intruder is not even human, just a massive, cold machine. That giant mech tears through the defenses, proving that brute force is the ultimate key. Guild members scramble in terror, wondering how a robot bypassed their high-security, top-tier lockdown protocols. Panic hits the leadership as they realize their own secret weapon has completely turned traitor. Desperate orders fly to stop the machine, but the mech is already moving with purpose. Cryo teams try freezing the beast, but their magic just bounces off like it's nothing at all. Heavy armor units get tossed aside like toys, proving their defense is basically just paper. A fiery commander steps up, screaming about guild glory while preparing to burn everything down. She lunges at the mech, but the machine is already leagues ahead of her efforts. Yi uses the chaos to vanish, leaving the guild to fight their own runaway toy. High above the city, the tower looms, unaware that its most valuable asset just left. A sudden impact marks his landing as he hits the rooftop with perfect, silent precision. Scanning the area, Yi confirms they are safe for now, with no hostiles in sight. Lanbao explains how they pulled off the heist, leaving the guild to suffer losses. Black Crow is fading fast, her vitals dropping as the nightmare corruption takes a toll. Yi stares with grim resolve, knowing he has to fix her condition before it's permanent. Spotting the safe house, he rushes toward their only hope for a quick life-saving medical fix. This nondescript building waits, a quiet sanctuary hidden away from the city's ongoing violent disaster. Yi kneels by Black Crow, his concern growing as her condition worsens by the second. That dark nightmare energy is literally draining her life, turning her survival into a race. Analyzing the situation, Yi realizes he lacks the specific countermeasure to break this lethal curse. Lanbao chirps up with a smug reminder that the solution is already in his ring. Pulling out the mysterious black sphere, Yi wonders if this is truly their golden ticket. Lanbao confirms the sphere holds the power of skill nullification, perfect for waking her. Energy crackles as the fragment reveals its true, glowing form, ready to be put to work. Yi stares in disbelief, questioning if this little trinket can really shut down such magic. Lanbao explains the science, everything is just atoms and this thing breaks them all down. Deconstruction is the name of the game, turning complex elemental skills into harmless, raw power. Recalling his past fights, Yi realizes he has been using this broken tech all along. With the safe house shielded by a jammer, he decides now is the time to absorb. Reaching out, Yi initiates the process, determined to master this fragment and save his ally. Swirling energy engulfs the building, signaling the start of a massive, high-stakes power level up. Data streams flood his system as the fragment is finally recorded into his core repository. Leveling up to C rank feels almost too easy, but he is not complaining about progress. Checking his new stats, Yi sees his power spiking across the board after the absorption. Reading the skill description, he realizes he can now break down physical matter at will. This new interface maps out his path to mastery, turning old-world junk into factors. Lanbao warns that proficiency is the only way to unlock the next world fragment. Yi gets a massive data dump from Lanbao about these mysterious world fragments. Apparently, leveling up his deconstruction skill is the golden ticket to finding more power. Suddenly, the mood shifts as Black Crow's nightmare energy goes into overdrive, threatening her. That purple fire is spreading way too fast, leaving him zero room for error. Yi decides to stop playing nice and hits the button on his deconstruction skill. Locking onto the nightmare beast, he prepares to tear its digital soul to pieces. Warning sirens blare as he steps into the nightmare space, risking his own sanity. Chains bind Black Crow while that tiger-shaped nightmare entity looms over her like death. Yi stares down the beast, unimpressed by its ugly dream-based aesthetic total trash design. Purple flames erupt as the nightmare tiger lunges, desperate to keep its hold tight. Our boy stands his ground, barely flinching at the monster's pathetic, glowing claw swipe. Targeting the core, Yi prepares to show this entity exactly why he is dangerous. Blasting the nightmare with raw deconstruction energy, he cuts through the void like butter. That tiger beast screams as its form starts unraveling into nothingness, losing its grip fast. Yi commands the nightmare to vanish, putting an end to this digital horror show. Reality begins to fold as the dream domain collapses under his sheer, overwhelming pressure. Shards of memory drift away, revealing the broken pieces of Black Crow's trapped consciousness. Watching the fragments fade, Yi realizes the nightmare was literally eating her mind alive. Chains shatter into dust as the curse finally breaks, freeing her from the nightmare. Black Crow falls limp, finally safe from the darkness that almost claimed her soul. Yi pulls Black Crow from the brink, his hand steady as the nightmare energy dissipates. Scanning her mind, he uncovers a tragic past hidden behind all that abrasive, hostile exterior. Watching the memory fragment dissolve, he finally gets why she's so obsessed with the guild. Even the most insufferable people have a sob story, though it does not make them fun. Black Crow stirs, letting out a sharp gasp as her consciousness drags itself back home. Waking up in a daze, she complains about her neck classic zero gratitude for the rescue. Yi tells her to quit whining and stand up, his arm already tired of holding. Immediately defensive, she accuses him of trying something funny while she was out cold paranoia. Realizing her nightmare status is gone, she demands to know if he actually dispelled it. Yi sarcastically asks if anyone else is around, then demands his payment for the job. Holding back the goods, he presses her for answers about her secret, desperate family mission. Mentioning her comatose mother, he hits a nerve, proving he's done his homework on her. Stunned, Black Crow demands to know where he got that intel, the look of pure shock. Yi explains he just likes knowing who he's dealing with, avoiding any future messy trouble. Presenting the black sphere and the holy water, he offers the loot she desperately needs. Giving her both items, he sets one condition: total silence about his identity to everyone. Suspicious as ever, she questions why he'd trade the sphere back. What's his real hidden game? Admitting he needs magic crystals, he claims his face is too hot for the market. Dropping the act, he speaks honestly about the brutal grind of protecting family and survival. Acknowledging their shared path of necessary deception, he asks if she made that same choice. Black Crow shuts him down, refusing to let him act like he knows her struggle. Yi counters with a cold truth: shared secrets are the only way to build real trust. She tosses him some disguise gear, clearly wanting him gone before the guild finds them. A sudden shift in topic reveals Yi is hunting for a massive haul of magic crystals. 10 million worth of crystals is the target, leaving her stunned by his sheer, greedy audacity. He doubles down, admitting he needs every single crystal he can get his hands on today. Outside, the crowd loses their minds as a massive robot wrecks the Apex Guild's front door. Guards are left panting on the floor, totally unable to stop the machine's relentless golden rampage. That giant mech stands tall, brandishing a blade that makes the local security look like toys. A high-ranking guild member grovels in despair, terrified of failing their master after this total disaster. Golden wind spirals through the air, signaling the arrival of the guild's heavy-hitting elite backup team. This mech glows with intense power, preparing for a clash that will shake the entire city. Goldification hits the field, turning the battlefield into a shimmering, dangerous display of high-tier magic skill. Panic ripples through the guild members as they recognize their own master's signature destructive combat move. A massive airship descends, marking the return of the guild master and his elite hunting squad. They arrive to find their tower in ruins, blaming their subordinates for this absolute embarrassing failure. Liang Jinwei steps out, looking like $1,000,000 while demanding answers for this chaotic mess. This golden mech stands its ground, warned by the guild to keep their precious toy pristine. Reporters swarm the scene, but the guild shuts them down, desperate to hide their massive humiliation. Deep inside the tower, the warp channel finally flickers back to life, restoring the power grid. Back at the Ring Star Tower, the mood is officially beyond toxic. This guild master is absolutely losing his mind over the recent heist. Sipping wine while his subordinates sweat bullets, he demands a real explanation. That terrified underling tries to blame the intruders for being way too sneaky. Clearly, the boss is not buying the excuses, his patience wearing thinner by second. He stares them down, basically calling them useless with that smug, icy glare. This black sphere is gone and the guild master is ready to explode. Panic sets in as the underlings realize their boss is actually dangerous. One guy begs for his life, terrified of being turned into literal gold. Coldly, the boss drops the truth: if you have no value, you are just trash. Golden energy flares up, turning the room into a high-stakes, lethal pressure cooker. Desperate to survive, the old guy claims he knows exactly who did it. He points toward the city's southwest, blaming some shady, high-level assassin groups. Swearing a life-and-death pact, he promises to recover the sphere within 10 days. With a flick of his finger, the boss releases his terrifying golden grip. 10 days is the deadline, and the boss is done playing nice games. He stares deep into the guy's soul, demanding results instead of more talk. Kneeling in relief, the underling promises he will not fail the guild master again. Another aide steps up, dropping a fresh lead about a different mysterious intruder. They've tracked a contestant named 11 who just crushed a B-rank fighter easily. This guildmaster grills his subordinate, obsessed with finding the identity of their mysterious intruder. Apparently, their high-tier detection tech failed completely, leaving them with 0 leads on our guy. Suspicion turns toward a specific group, the boss clearly rattled by how early they moved. Dismissing the room, he clears out his useless staff to consult with his secret weapon. Doors slam shut, sealing the room for a private conversation that reeks of dark intent. Silence hangs heavy as the boss addresses Greed, a sinister entity lurking in the shadows. Demanding answers, he asks if Greed caught a glimpse of the thief during the chaos. Lightning crackles as Greed confirms the intruder possessed some truly terrifying, high-level defensive capabilities. Admitting defeat, Greed reveals the guy even scrubbed a tracking mark off the sword bearer. Shocked, the boss wonders if they are dealing with the legendary creators and sinful delusions. Greed laughs off the suggestion, mocking the boss for even considering such an absurd possibility. Explaining their current state, Greed notes they are merely phantoms until the real world shifts. Tethered to the city, they remain trapped in this plane, waiting for the right moment. Only the upcoming Great Cataclysm will allow their true, powerful bodies to finally manifest here. Shifting focus, the boss decides this 11 character is a variable that needs watching closely. Puzzled by 11's raw power, they wonder how a mere mortal could possibly outclass them. Setting a grim deadline, the boss notes the Cataclysm arrives in exactly 1 month's time. Sipping wine, he vows that as long as 11 makes a move, they will strike. Coldly calculating, the boss insists that eliminating all risks is the only way to profit. Preparing for the end, he leaves no room for error, earning a cackle from Greed. This guild master sips wine, musing that killing someone might actually bring a nice reward. Looking over Ringstar City, he decides it is finally time for things to get interesting. Rumors of awakening intelligent robots spread like wildfire, with some supposedly rivaling rank power levels. Apex guild pivots, marketing their master as a creator to lure in desperate, high-tier talent. Local reporters obsess over 11, the mysterious 7-time champion who vanished after the big tournament. Meanwhile, the guild master launches a massive investigation, pressuring everyone to find the tower intruders. Public speculation runs wild, with some even whispering that 11 might be a legendary creator. 7 days later, Yi arrives at the Adventure Association, keeping his head down and low. Security guards mock his F-rank status, completely oblivious to the monster standing right before them. They wave him through, convinced a total scrub could not possibly be the target they want. Guards continue barking orders, demanding that only C-rank fighters and above bother with the registration. Yi smirks, realizing his outdated, low-rank data card is actually a massive blessing in disguise. He has spent the last week grinding, burning through magic crystals to boost his deconstruction. Proficiency hits 50%, but he realizes with horror that his entire fortune is gone. 20 million crystals vanished into thin air, the classic struggle of being broke when needed. Desperate for more cash, he scans the crowd, hoping to run into some easy marks. Suddenly, a commotion breaks out as 2 teams clash, including the infamous aggressive vicious dogs. Yi spots Lin Xiang in the middle of the chaos, his eyes narrowing in recognition. Lin Xiang stands her ground, furious that these thugs injured her team over a spot. This vicious dog's leader sneers at them, calling everyone trash before demanding they just scram. Tensions boil over at the guild entrance, with 2 teams locking horns over a slot. Wang Ren of the vicious dogs acts like he owns the place, demanding they just leave. Lin Xiang of the meteor team refuses to budge, holding their hard-earned spot with pure defiance. She explains they waited specifically for Yi, only to get cornered by these absolute bottom-tier bullies. Yi steps up, calling out the admin to handle the blatant harassment happening right in front. Administrator Zhao Bo just shrugs, telling them to settle it with a fight, peak corporate laziness. Yi is clearly losing his mind at this ridiculous hands-off approach to basic guild security. Wang Ren draws his blade, gloating that the universe is finally handing him an easy win. He promises to make them bled, clearly enjoying the chance to pick on a weaker team. Launching a massive strike, he unleashes his signature blade technique to crush their defensive line. Yi realizes with dread that the attack is perfectly calibrated to shatter their protective barriers. This shield explodes into shards, leaving the team wide open and scrambling for their lives. Lin Xiang screams for them to focus on healing, stepping up to face the threat alone. Wang Ren charges, mocking her for thinking a mage could ever stand against an assassin. She knows the math is against her, especially with his higher rank and lethal speed. He cackles, convinced that butchering her will effectively end the entire Meteor team's career today. Just as the blade descends, Yi intercepts the strike, stepping in to protect his team. Wang Ren freezes in shock, staring at the guy he thought was just a total scrub. Yi radiates crackling energy, coldly declaring that trash like him is not worth the team's time. Lin Xiang watches in disbelief as Yi finally reveals his true, hidden power to everyone. Lin Xiang screams a warning, clearly terrified by the sudden, chaotic violence erupting nearby. Wang Ren snaps back, his ego bruised and ready to flat anyone in his way. Yi does not hesitate, closing the gap with a lethal strike that catches everyone off guard. Blue electricity crackles as Yi triggers his electromagnetic field, turning the air into a weapon. Steel clashes against raw power, the vicious dog's leader realizing he picked the wrong target. Lightning surges through Yi's veins as he accelerates, moving faster than the human eye tracks. Pure shock washes over the bully's face, his confidence evaporating in a single brutal heartbeat. Yi lands a clean, devastating blow, sending Wang Ren flying backward like a discarded ragdoll. Swords clatter to the floor as the arrogant leader is launched into the concrete wall. Dust settles over the wreckage, leaving the remaining thugs staring at their fallen, pathetic boss. That vicious dog's leader is completely out, twitching on the floor like a broken toy. Bystanders lose their minds, stunned that a supposed scrub just dismantled a high-tier fighter instantly. Yi stands tall, radiating calm, asking if anyone else wants to test their luck today. Panic sets in for the remaining goons, their only thought now is dragging their leader. Scrambling to escape, the thugs retreat, leaving the area behind for our boy to claim. Lin Xiang breathes a sigh of relief, clearly impressed by Yi's sudden massive power spike. She smiles, genuinely thrilled to see her teammate finally showing his true, hidden potential. Yi plays it cool, scratching his head and blaming his win on pure dumb luck. His teammates are not buying the modesty, pointing out he just crushed a C-rank powerhouse. New allies swarm him with questions, eager to learn the secrets behind his rapid growth. Yi feels surprisingly chill, finally catching a break from all the non-stop high-stakes deception. Lin Xiang snaps him back to reality, reminding the team that time is literally money. An official signals the start of the Demon's Den raid, pointing toward the glowing portal. Our boy eyes the dungeon, knowing it's a goldmine for rare loot and quick, easy cash. Lin Xiang invites Yi along, promising that a successful run will solve his financial woes. He jumps at the chance, ready to turn this dungeon into his personal piggy bank. This team steps through the warp channel, leaving the safety of the city far behind. Emerging in the wild, they realize they've officially crossed the border of Ring Star City. Scanners confirm the area is stable, locking in the dungeon's status as a C-rank zone. Guild staff verify the raid requirements, ensuring everything is set for a standard joint operation. Teammates look around in awe, soaking in the eerie atmosphere of their first demon den. Another group, the Horned Horse team, shows up, already whining about their potential profit margins. Yi notices they are not alone, spotting a third team lurking in the shadows of that mysterious trio. The nameless team stands out, looking like they walked out of their leader sports a creepy, jagged mask, radiating an unsettling energy that screams total trouble. Yi asks his bot to scan them, but the weirdos are blocking all incoming data. This mission coordinator steps up, ready to lay down the law for this joint raid. Objectives are simple: gather rare minerals and delete the boss before it mutates the entire area. Guild bosses promise to buy back any loot, dangling a massive payday in front of. Horned Horse ego trips, bragging that only losers do manual labor while they hunt the boss. This guild coordinator calls for the first team to enter the portal, no pressure. Arrogant rivals step up, desperate to claim the boss kill in all the glory. A creepy masked team looms nearby, radiating pure unsettling energy that screams total trouble. Yi watches as Lanbao finishes scanning the area, ready to dive into chaos. Panic hits when Lanbao identifies the masked weirdos as dangerous, soul-consuming heretics. These monsters do not use elements, they just feast on the living to get stronger. Lanbao confirms the things following the masked team are actually reanimated human corpses. Yi realizes the situation is spiraling fast, with everyone already deep inside the den. Stepping through the crackling portal, he prepares for whatever nightmare waits on the inside. Our boy enters the dark zone, his senses sharp and ready for a fight. He asks the obvious question: what happens if things go south in this death trap? This guild rep shrugs, basically saying they are on their own unless things explode. Yi knows waiting for help is a death sentence, so he keeps his guard. Those creepy heretics march forward, their undead entourage trailing behind like a bad omen. Realizing he cannot trust anyone else, Yi decides to rely solely on his power. Lin Xiang leads the team deeper, warning everyone to stay sharp in the dark. Damp, cold, and perfect for reptiles, the environment is already setting a lethal trap. A teammate finds a scale, the lingering scent signaling something nasty is lurking nearby. Yi shouts a warning just as his teammate nearly touches some volatile snake venom. They confirm the den is infested with venomous snakes, making this raid a nightmare. Yi checks the path, noting the Horned Horse team already took the left tunnel. Lin Xiang decides on the right, aiming for a wider passage to keep moving. Lurking behind them, the masked team follows, their intentions looking absolutely, dangerously suspicious. Yi keeps his eyes peeled, sensing the weird energy radiating from those creepy strangers. Their leader signals a turn, mask locked in a permanent, unsettling grin of malice. Deep in the cavern, the two groups navigate the winding, claustrophobic stone corridors. Lin Xiang warns Wei that these creeps might be hunting teams instead of monsters. Realizing the danger, Wei admits their presence has been giving him bad vibes lately. He volunteers to guard the rear, knowing their backs are wide open to attack. Trusting his judgment, Lin Xiang tells him to stay sharp and watch for trouble. This team stays tight, moving through the gloom as the atmosphere turns increasingly heavy. That masked leader sneers, clearly enjoying the tension building in the dark, damp air. Thick fog begins rolling in, obscuring the path and making visibility drop to zero. Something sharp slithers through the mist, the sound of movement echoing against the walls. Wei calls them out, asking if they're finally done pretending to be normal adventurers. To his eyes, they look like ravenous monsters, shedding their human facade for good. His bot warns him they are on high alert, ready to strike at once. Suddenly, Lin Xiang halts the group, spotting a new, strange area opening up ahead. Shock hits her face as she realizes what lies waiting in the cavern depths. This entire chamber glows with rare purple cloud crystals, a massive, glittering, dangerous jackpot. Wei and his crew stare at the massive purple crystals, eyes wide with pure greed. Everyone realizes they just hit the jackpot, practically drooling over the potential payday ahead. Stumbling onto a vein, this early feels like a miracle, but Wei senses something off. Scanning the area, he notices some pillars look weirdly different from the standard crystal formations. Strange energy pulses from within the stone, hinting at a hidden, ancient kind of rune. Suddenly, his bot screams a warning. Something is closing in fast through the thick fog. A masked assailant lunges from the shadows, blades flashing as he targets the team. Wei barely parries the strike, realizing these creeps finally stopped hiding their true murderous intent. Chaos erupts as another undead corpse charges the group, forcing them into a desperate defense. Sparks fly as the masked attacker takes a hit, his sinister mask barely holding together. Lin Xiang shouts for Wei to stop holding back, urging him to unleash his power. Knowing these heretics have a dirty trick up their sleeve, Wei prepares for a counter. He refuses to let this fight drag on, sensing the danger to his entire team. Channeling his energy, he activates his signature technique, the air crackling with lethal silver light. Wei strikes with blinding speed, forcing the masked weirdo to scramble back in total shock. Disaster strikes when the masked leader suddenly appears behind Lin Xiang, grabbing her by force. This villain mocks Wei's strength, holding his teammate hostage to turn the tide of battle. Grinning behind his jagged mask, the heretic demands they drop their weapons or she dies. Lin Xiang struggles in his grip, screaming for Wei to ignore her and finish him. This team watches in horror as the enemy dissolves into black mist, vanishing into thin air. That masked creep finally drops the act, asking if Wei clocked them as heretics early. He's genuinely shook that Wei shredded his C-rank puppet, wondering if the kid is B-rank. Threatening Lin Xiang, the villain promises to turn her into his next little project. Wei snaps, warning the guy he'll be slaughtered if he tries that move again. Ignoring the heat, the heretic just wants everyone to stay and rot in his cave. Suddenly, the purple crystals start glowing with a weird, ominous energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. A massive teleportation array ignites, trapping everyone in a glowing, inescapable geometric nightmare. This masked leader loses his cool, screaming as his own phantom spell completely fails him. Wei yells for his team to back off, sensing the space itself is turning hostile. Realizing the crystal pillars were a total setup, he braces for the incoming spatial shift. Everything goes sideways, and just like that, the heretics vanish into thin air. Lin Xiang and the crew panic, realizing their captain is suddenly missing from the group. Wei holds up a hand, telling them to stay put because the danger is not over. Looking grim, he warns them that leaving now is basically signing their own death warrants. From the shadows, armored snakes emerge, hissing and ready to turn them into lunch. Lin Xiang realizes they're completely surrounded by a massive, slithering horde of hungry monsters. Her eyes widen in pure terror as she spots the real threat looming nearby. A C9 rank snake commander steps out, looking way too smug for a giant reptile. When I locks onto them, casually mentioning they're all just snacks for his queen. This team tightens their formation, weapons drawn, ready to fight for their lives against snakes. This team freezes in horror, realizing they're staring down a boss that actually talks. Wei keeps his cool, his eyes narrowing as he assesses the massive, scaly threat. That snake commander looms over them, casually announcing they're all just snacks for his queen. Serpent soldiers surround the group, spears leveled and ready to drag them into darkness. Panic sets in for the squad, and they look to Wei for a miracle. He takes a deep breath, calculating the odds of surviving this absolute death trap. Suddenly, Wei raises his hands in total surrender, catching everyone completely off guard. Playing the part of a terrified adventurer, he pleads for their lives to be spared. His teammates are left reeling, wondering if their leader has finally lost his mind. This snake commander finds this display of cowardice amusing, actually impressed by his sensible nature. Lin Xiang is fuming, demanding to know why Wei is acting like a total pushover. He silences her with a sharp gesture, signaling that he has a secret plan. That snake brute mocks their pathetic attempt at survival, dragging them deeper into his territory. Towering over Wei, the monster confirms that they are destined to be ritual sacrifices. Wei keeps the act going, asking if they'll get a front row seat to the queen. This commander confirms they'll be sent to the altar to fuel her grand, dark awakening. Bragging about his queen's ancient power, the snake calls them nothing but worthless, disposable garbage. Lanbao chimes in, warning Yi that an ancient species beast is at least B rank. Impatient, the commander worries about being late for the ritual started by the Bone Eater. With a final, menacing shove, he forces the team toward their grim, uncertain fate. Yi brushes off the snake commander, claiming they'll find their own way out. Yi is clearly confused by the audacity, wondering what the kid is actually planning. Suddenly, Yi lunges forward with a blinding strike, catching the boss completely off guard. That snake commander rages about human treachery, vowing to cripple him before dragging him away. A massive wave of energy erupts as Yi unleashes his full power against the beast. This snake commander is stunned when Yi reveals his true position, moving with lethal speed. With a clean, precise strike, Yi pierces through the commander's defenses like they're paper. He mocks the monster, proving that what you see is not always the full reality. Yi screams in pure hatred, calling him a despicable human as his life fades. Down goes the boss, and the system confirms Yi has officially cleared the commander. Leveling up to C2 rank, he immediately absorbs the beast's soul for that sweet reflex status. Realizing the clock is ticking, he knows they have to rescue Lin Xiang right now. His teammates are buzzing, shocked he actually pulled off that insane, calculated boss kill. Nearby snake soldiers lose their minds, realizing their leader is dead and they're trapped. Yi traps the remaining snakes in a barrier, forcing them to focus only on him. He orders his team to push forward, promising he'll catch up to them soon. With his bot guiding the way, Yi stays focused on the dark, winding path ahead. This cavern stretches out into a gloomy, fog-filled tunnel that looks like a total maze. Sprinting through the darkness, he leaves a glowing trail to mark his rapid progress. Using fluorescent powder, he creates a path for his team to follow him safely later. Yi hits another dead end, his bot flagging yet another annoying fork in the road. Navigating this labyrinth is a total headache, with tunnels stretching out into endless dark voids. Lanbao scans the map, confirming the path is rigged with enough traps to ruin them. Frustration builds as Yi wonders how the serpent can actually manage to navigate this twisted stone mess. Deep in the gloom, a lone, desperate soul gets snagged by a glowing, purple energy trap. That poor guy screams in agony, regretting his life choices as the crystals drain his essence. Purple tendrils wrap around his face, turning his final moments into a truly horrific, glowing spectacle. Everything shatters as the victim is consumed, leaving nothing behind but a pile of broken debris. Nearby, the snake guards hold their captives, watching the ritual with cold, reptilian indifference. Total creeps. One snake sneers at the prisoners, promising that their turn for the altar is coming soon. Lin Xiang stares in shock, realizing the rival team leader is already gone just like that. Boss-level monsters are everywhere, and the sheer variety of these C-rank threats is honestly just unfair. Chains rattle in the shadows, revealing something massive and dangerous lurking behind the snake priest. A mysterious, sealed beast emerges, its eyes glowing with a power that defies any known rank. Little Lin Xiang points at a shooting star, begging her parents to make a quick wish. Her parents smile, guessing she wants a new dress, but they're way off the mark here. Radiant and hopeful, the kid declares she wants to live a life as bright as that star. Reality crashes back in as the AI creation triggers the apocalypse, turning her dream into survival. Young Lin Xiang awakens her power, blasting a monster to bits as the world burns down. Lin Xiang recalls the day her world shattered, losing her parents to the apocalypse. Desperate for a miracle, she awakened her power but could not save those she loved. Pushing herself to the absolute limit, she formed a team to survive this nightmare. Determination burns in her eyes as she vows to carve out her own path. Reality bites back hard, with her team facing total disbandment due to low rankings. Money is tight after their last disaster, leaving the crew scrambling for any mission. Lin Xiang gambles everything, trading her precious crystals for entry into the dangerous den. Naively hoping sacrifice would fix their status, she realizes the system is rigged against her. Frustration boils over as she questions why luck never seems to favor her efforts. Deep in the shadows, a massive chained serpent beast looms over the snake priests. Chains rattle as the creature stirs, its glowing eyes signaling a terrifying, ancient power. Heavy pressure fills the chamber, confirming this monster is far beyond any normal rank. A snake priest notes that gathering elemental affinities is the only way to proceed. They discuss harvesting high-tier human souls, wondering why their scout has not returned yet. Deciding to move on, the priest prepares to sacrifice the current captives for power. Suddenly, the masked intruder strikes, his eyes locked on the chaos unfolding nearby. He lunges into the fray, cutting through the snake guards with cold, calculated precision. Dark mist explodes as he makes his move, leaving the team stunned and confused. Fleeing the scene, the masked creep mocks them, refusing to be a sacrificial pawn. A snake priest sneers at the display, finding the use of heretic skills truly laughable. A massive, shadowy serpent looms over the masked intruder, ready to show real power. That snake commander mocks the human for lacking elemental energy, calling him totally worthless. Dark, viscous liquid erupts as the beast displays its terrifying, soul-dissolving capabilities to everyone. Our masked guy stares into the abyss, his red eyes glowing with pure, unadulterated defiance. A heavy axe swings down with bone-crushing force, shattering the ground beneath their very feet. That smug snake commander stands over the wreckage, calling his opponent absolute, pathetic trash. Lin Xiang draws her blade, her expression hardening as she commands the enemy to stop. This snake guard lunges at her, threatening to gouge out her eyes if she dares move. A high-ranking priest steps forward, eyeing Lin Xiang as the perfect final candidate for sacrifice. She realizes the horrifying truth: they are trying to awaken the massive monster lurking behind them. Dark tendrils lash out, pinning Lin Xiang in place as the snake priest mocks her. This priest declares Queen Lamia their guardian deity, refusing to tolerate any human disrespect anymore. He explains that while humans are frail, their elemental souls are exactly what they need. Snakes are apparently starving for human energy, making Lin Xiang their prime-cut snack. She finally connects the dots, realizing this entire den was a rigged, lethal trap. This priest confirms her suspicion with a cold, reptilian grin that screams pure, unadulterated evil. He reveals the ritual requires 5 C-rank souls to summon their ancient, slumbering queen. Massive chains rattle against the giant sealed serpent, signaling the return of a nightmare. These snake soldiers are feeling bold, bragging that they no longer fear human interference. This priest senses the final element, targeting Lin Xiang to complete their dark, twisted awakening. Lin Xiang's eyes widen as the dark energy begins to overwhelm her senses. That snake priest cackles, unleashing a wave of dark soul art to finish her. Black tendrils swarm around her, tightening their grip like a suffocating, necrotic vine. Serpent soldiers chant for their queen, their rhythmic thumping echoing through the cold cavern. Panic hits as Lin Xiang feels her consciousness slipping into the dark, endless void. Dark energy swirls into a vortex, pinning her down with terrifying, soul-crushing weight. Behind the priest, the chained serpent beast glows, feeding on the ritual's dark power. Victory seems certain for the priest, who gloats about the queen finally answering them. Lin Xiang struggles, realizing that the dark serpent is far too dangerous to exist. Desperation fuels her resolve, and she decides to gamble everything to stop them. Blinding light erupts from her, pushing back the encroaching shadows with sheer willpower. She activates a rare soul ward, a desperate shield that burns her life force. That snake priest recoils, stunned that a mere human possesses such a high-tier skill. Mocking her efforts, he claims the altar will just drain her until nothing remains. He sneers, asking if she's really waiting for some pathetic hero to save her. Arrogance drips from his fangs as he insists that no human can navigate here. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the ceiling, sending debris crashing down on the ritual. Yi drops from the shadows like a wrecking ball, ready to ruin their day. Shocked, the snake priest shrieks at the sight of a human crashing his party. Yi does not hesitate, activating his signature deconstruct skill to tear their dark plans apart. Yi locks onto the altar, his target clear as day for a total system wipe. That snake priest loses his mind, screaming for his guards to stop the human intruder. Chaos erupts as Yi blitzes the room, his movement leaving the snake priest completely rattled. Activating his signature deconstruct skill, he targets the very foundation of their dark, twisted ritual. Stone blocks shatter into dust, the entire altar collapsing under his precise, calculated power play. Massive debris rains down, shaking the cavern as the chained serpent beast starts to stir. Panic sets in for the priest, who wails for his queen while his plan crumbles. Snake guards scramble to intercept, but they're way too slow to catch our guy now. Yi swoops in like a pro, snatching Lin Xiang from the jaws of certain dark defeat. Lin Xiang finally breathes, realizing her captain actually showed up to save her sorry hide. With a cold, focused glare, Yi promises to finish the job and wreck these snakes.